Chapter 215. Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second Divided by Little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Dead? Princess Meow Meow's attractive face was completely stunned. The eyes of the severely injured Longhu ancestor beast flickered with a hint of pity as he said, "This is the process of possession, first taking away his life, then his soul. Now that he has lost his life force, the possession is halfway done. How can I save him?" Before he could finish, an icy voice could be heard. The Longhu ancestor beast was startled. He could only see Princess Meow Meow's eyes filled with coldness as she said, "I'll ask you one more time, how can I save him?" Save him? The Longhu ancestor beast did not expect her to ask such a question, but he still answered honestly, "It's impossible to save him now, as his life force has been stolen. Only with the help of immortal herbs would we be able to reverse the yin and yang and awaken his life force. Not only that, even if his life force is awakened, he will still suffer." He was once again interrupted mercilessly, as Princess Meow Meow waved her hand impatiently and said, "I know. What are you planning to do?" The Longhu ancestor beast was confused. "I'm going to save him." Princess Meow Meow glanced at the lifeless Qin Nan and blurted out these words. Without hesitation, a mysterious force was awakened from her body, causing her aura to change instantly, resulting in an imperious aura. "What are you doing?" The Longhu ancestor beast blurted out in astonishment. "I know you have a stream of primary force in your body, but since you're already injured, it would be extremely disadvantageous for you to awaken it now. Besides, even if you were to use the primary force, it would be useless. In this world, every flower, every blade of grass, every rock, every grain of sand is a form of creation. I am a creation, and in the name of creation, I'm borrowing the power of the heavens and earth to summon the primary force. If the heavens and earth are willing to listen to me, they will respond to me. If the heavens and earth remain unmoved, I'm willing to borrow the power of the heavens and earth." Princess Meow Meow didn't seem to hear its words. She sat cross-legged and chanted an ancient code. In an instant, a strange energy surged within a radius of 10 miles around her. Whether it was the flowers, the trees, or even the sand and stones, they all flickered and vibrated as if they were responding to her call. 9 transformations of spirit, spirit transformations of immortal, immortal transformations of force. My essence, quickly awaken. Princess Meow Meow's eyes flashed with purple light. A terrifying force was completely awakened in her body, which transformed into. The 7-colored light wrapped around her layer by layer. Her humanoid body shattered layer by layer under the light, turning into long, translucent strands that fell to the ground and continued to extend. They were full of life. In the blink of an eye, Princess Meow Meow turned into a ginseng. She was 10 feet tall, and her entire body was translucent like white jade. From the roots of the ginseng, 3,000 long strands extended out. Each strand was 20 feet long, and when they fell to the ground, they looked like hundreds of blooming flowers. "This is," the Longhu ancestor beast lost his mind after seeing this. "Your true form is the 9-spirited ascended ginseng. I remember now, you are the princess of the lost herb garden." "Impossible! Impossible! Why are you still alive? You should be. With my 9-spirited ascended ginseng, I shall summon the life force." Princess Meow Meow, who had turned into a ginseng, spoke in the human language. Following this, the 3,000 strands of long strands on the ground shattered into pieces, forming a 10 feet long river of light dots, which emitted an indescribable life force into Qin Nan's body. "Are you out of your mind?" The Longhu ancestor beast let out a roar without caring about her identity after seeing this. "You are damaging your own essence. Even if you are the 9-spirited ascended ginseng, your actions will severely injure you. It will be extremely difficult for you to recover from it." Princess Meow Meow showed no sign of stopping her actions. The Longhu ancestor beast was infuriated. Why are you doing this? He is only an ordinary person. His life has nothing to do with you. What is so special about him that you are willing to waste your primary force to summon his life force? Even if you do summon his life force, he will not be able to recover from it. What do you know? Princess Meow Meow, who had been silent all this while, suddenly spoke with a hollow laugh. Since you are aware of the existence of the Lost Herb Garden and my identity, you should be aware of the truth. It's true that he is an ordinary person, and it's also true that he will not be able to recover from it if I summon his life force. However, do you know that when the whole world was in despair, when I was sleeping in the darkness for 300 years, this ordinary person you are talking about woke me up? If it weren't for the blood oath he made with me, allowing my spirit to recover, I would have lost my life. He is the one who gave me a second chance at life. The Longhu ancestor beast was stunned, but no buts. Even though Princess Meow Meow was only a stalk of ginseng at that instant, the Longhu ancestor beast felt like he could see her giggling and saying, "You might not know this, but he is my servant and I am his master. If I don't save him, who is going to?" After saying this, the river formed by the 3,000 whiskers thoroughly entered Qin Nan's body. Bang! Following an explosion, the stalk of ginseng that Princess Meow Meow had transformed into was no longer in her original form, but transformed into her appearance of a 12-year-old girl. However, her face was extremely pale, and her aura was extremely weak, as if a single blow was enough to shatter her into pieces. On the other hand, after the river of life force entered Qin Nan's body, a vigorous life force burst out from his lifeless body. His breathing began to rise and fall, and his heartbeat gradually increased. His pale skin gradually recovered its color. The power of the mystical herb, reviving the dead. The Longhu ancestor beast remained silent for a while after seeing this, before he clenched his teeth and said, "Since this kid is worth it for you to pay such a huge price, I'll lend him a hand too. As for whether he can survive the devouring, it's all up to him now." The Longhu ancestor beast's blood-stained dragon head immediately opened its mouth, and spat out a jade orb the size of a fist. The jade orb was filled with the cries of dragons and tigers, accompanied by a tremendous aura, as if it contained the secrets of the world. The orb was known as the Longhu orb, and the Longhu ancestor beast was only able to produce one after 100 years of cultivation. After the Longhu orb was inserted into Qin Nan's body, the Longhu ancestor beast became extremely weak, and with a thud, his huge body fell to the ground, and his breathing became extremely difficult. "Damn it, I've suffered a great loss just to pick up a girl," the Longhu ancestor beast complained in a weak tone, before he glanced at Qin Nan. After Qin Nan's body merged with the Longhu orb, a strong aura was emitted from his body, causing the purple runes covering his body to shatter into pieces. His breathing became extremely vigorous, which greatly surpassed that of ordinary people. Even Qin Nan's flesh now possessed the strength to defeat a third-layer Xiantian realm cultivator. "Thank you," Princess Meow Meow said in a low tone, as she struggled to get up from the ground and staggered toward Qin Nan. After arriving beside Qin Nan, she slowly sat down on the ground and reached out her tiny hand to pat Qin Nan's head, while her face was filled with a troubled expression. "Qin Nan, how could you do this? You owe me 100,000 Martial Emperor pills, and now you're acting like this. Are you not going to pay me back? How could you do this? You're such a disappointment." She continued, "I've bullied you so many times, didn't you want to get your revenge? You still have to do it unless you admit defeat. I've robbed you of so many pills, don't you want to take them back? Even your master didn't allow you to die, who gave you the courage to die." Chapter 216. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Black. Endless darkness. Qin Nan felt as if his body had become as heavy as a mountain. He kept falling without end. So, I've died. The words flashed across Qin Nan's mind. Following this, endless fatigue engulfed his entire being like a tide. He fell into a deep sleep. However, at that instant, a brilliant glow penetrated the darkness, which transformed into a giant hand that grabbed Qin Nan and dragged him out of the bottomless abyss. Qin Nan opened his eyes and felt the surging power in his body. He was completely stunned. Wasn't he dead? How did he suddenly come back to life? Qin Nan. At that instant, a roar could be heard all of a sudden, which turned out to be the divine battle spirit. The current appearance of the divine battle spirit was different than before. Its left eye was fully drawn out, filled with a lively aura, causing its blurry human figure to become extremely agile, as if the divine battle spirit had descended upon the world. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao Say www.aichuxs.com Left eye of the war god. Qin Nan's expression changed and he asked, "Why do you want to possess my body?" "Why? You ask me why?" The head of the divine battle spirit glanced downward and uttered a thunderous roar. The divine battle spirit battles the heavens and the earth. There's nothing it doesn't fight, and there's nothing it won't win. Lowering your head and admitting defeat, do you still think you have the right to inherit the divine battle spirit? Qin Nan's brain exploded. His mind was shaken, and a trace of confusion appeared in his eyes. Was he really wrong? Was it really wrong for him to lower his head for the sake of his friend? Qin Nan, do you know how ridiculous your so-called friend is? The divine battle spirit reached out its illusionary hand and flicked its finger, immediately summoning a screen of light. On the screen, Princess Miao Miao transformed into the nine-spirited, ascended ginseng after discovering Qin Nan's death, severing her origin to save Qin Nan. The Longhu ancestor beast spat out the Longhu orb that he had cultivated for 100 years and inserted it into Qin Nan's body. Princess Miao Miao staggered to the front of Qin Nan and kept chanting. Baidu search AI Go Xiao Say www.aichuxs.com Seeing this scene, Qin Nan was completely stunned. In order to save him, Princess Miao Miao did not hesitate to use her own origin. Why did she save him? Didn't she want him to die to break the blood oath? In Qin Nan's heart, he had always thought that he and Princess Miao Miao were only on the same side because of benefits and the restriction of the blood oath. If not, they would surely be enemies. He never thought that there was any friendship between him and Princess Miao Miao. However, the scene before him had completely exceeded his expectations. Did you see that? These are the ridiculous friends you were talking about. The voice of the divine battle spirit turned passionate. They sacrificed their own origin in order to save you. How noble it seemed, but what happened in the end? Let me tell you, this trial was not a trial by the 9 symbolic words, but a trial by me. It was destined that you would die and they would all die. They paid a huge price for your sake, but in the end they were still dragged down by you. The voice of the divine battle spirit shook the heavens and earth. The divine battle spirit does not need friends, as friends will only drag you down. A real divine battle spirit is an enemy of the heavens and earth, battling against everything in the world, using battles to nurture his strength, to become a peerless divine battle spirit. The so-called friends are all rubbish. Before it could finish the word rubbish, a sudden burst of laughter echoed in the sky. Ha 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 ha. Qin Nan burst out laughing, as if he was unaware of his current situation. His eyes were no longer filled with confusion, but became extremely clear instead. What are you laughing at? The divine battle spirit said coldly. I'm laughing at myself. Qin Nan withdrew his laughter and said, because I'm too pitiful. Just because of death, I'm doubting if I've done something wrong. I'm too stupid. How could I have done something wrong? A friend is a friend, worthy of protection, worthy of sacrifice. Qin Nan's figure straightened as he faced the divine battle spirit with a carefree expression. I know your existence is extremely noble and extraordinary. If you want to devour my body, I won't be able to resist. If you realize it, I won't devour your body. The divine battle spirit said slowly, because you are the successor of the divine battle spirit. If you realize your mistake, everything will be yours. No. Qin Nan said in a firm tone without hesitation. I'm not wrong, nor will I realize my mistake. Your divine battle spirit is indeed powerful. Since I obtained you at the Longhu mountain range, I've been suppressing my opponents and trampling all the geniuses under my feet. In other words, if I didn't have you, I would only be an ordinary person. It seems like you know that only by inheriting the will of the divine battle spirit, you will no longer be a lowly ant. The divine battle spirit said with a disdainful look. A lowly ant? Qin Nan shook his head in a self-mocking manner. If it were before, he might have been swayed, but after seeing Princess Miao Miao's actions, he finally understood. Qin Nan raised his head and stared into the eyes of the divine battle spirit, and said, Don't forget to read the words of the divine battle spirit. It's my honor, my fortune, and my luck to obtain your divine battle spirit. However, for the sake of power, it doesn't mean I'll lose myself. You should know that my name is not the divine battle spirit, but Qin Nan. Qin Nan raised his tone, as if he was declaring himself to the heavens. My friends will be protected by me. My enemies will be defeated by me. I'm indomitable, and I'll follow my heart. Even if I'm lowly, even if I'm weak, the worst-case scenario is death. It was as if a sudden clap of thunder had taken place in this empty world. As Qin Nan had said, without the divine battle spirit, he would be lowly, he would be weak, but he would still have his pride. He would never lower his head. He would still be fearless. He would still be lawless. He would still protect his friends. He would follow his heart and do his best. Life is boundless, so what? The worst-case scenario is death. The worst-case scenario is death. The expression of the divine battle spirit seemed to be a little dull. Its left eye seemed to be filled with endless memories, as a layer of mist appeared. It's really him. This attitude, this appearance, it's really him. That's right, there's no mistaking it. Even after such a long time, it still remembered this attitude. Qin Nan was unaware of the divine battle spirit's reaction. His eyes flickered with a strong battle intent as he sprang into the sky. Divine battle spirit, I know your background is mysterious and powerful. Since you're trying to devour my body, I, a mere mortal, shall have a duel with you. Let's see who's the winner. At that instant, Qin Nan issued a challenge to the divine battle spirit. Ha ha ha, you're brave enough, very well. The left eye of the divine battle spirit withdrew its emotions and burst out laughing, causing the entire world to shatter into pieces. Its enormous god spirit sprang toward Qin Nan's figure. However, the battle did not take place. The entire divine battle spirit emitted a shocking blue glow, which slowly merged with Qin Nan's body. Qin Nan was stunned. He did not expect the left eye of the divine battle spirit, which had been clamoring to devour his body, to merge with him at that instant. Before Qin Nan could think, his entire body experienced a shocking change. At that instant, Qin Nan had no idea that the left eye of the divine battle spirit that had merged with his body could no longer hold back its tears. It was not sadness, it was not pain, but a pleasant surprise. Master, can you bring me along and conquer the 9 heavens? Chapter 217. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The Longhu ancestor beast glanced at Qin Nan, who was lying on the ground, and then glanced at Princess Miao Miao, who was still talking. His eyes were filled with sorrow as he asked in a painful tone, I have something to ask you. Baidu search love go xiaosei www.aichux.com. What is it? Princess Miao Miao sounded a little weak and impatient. Is this Longhu ancestor beast retarded? Can't he see that I'm trying to summon Qin Nan? The Longhu ancestor beast felt his heart aching as he said, "Tell me honestly, have you fallen in love with this kid?" Love? Princess Meow Meow was confused. What the hell is love? You don't know love? The Longhu ancestor beast glanced at her in astonishment and said, "You're willing to sacrifice your primary force for him, don't tell me you're not in love with him." Before Princess Meow Meow could answer, Qin Nan's body suddenly trembled. The originally vigorous vitality was completely annihilated, and it was incomparably dead. Qin Nan. Princess Meow Meow's expression changed drastically. She reached out to grab Qin Nan. AI. The Longhu ancestor beast let out a weak sigh and said, "I've said it before, even if we managed to save his life, he would not be able to escape the devouring. After all, the thing that took over his body was a divine object. Even the weapon spirit of the 9 symbolic words was subdued by it." However, at this moment, another change occurred. On Qin Nan's lifeless body, a bright green light shot up into the sky. His body, which was lying on the ground, slowly rose into the air, as if it was being pulled by an invisible force. A terrifying pressure surged out from his body. This is, Princess Meow Meow and the Longhu ancestor beast both held their breaths. Could it be that the possession was successful? Boom! A loud explosion took place inside Qin Nan's body as the primary force of the Dragon Tiger Orb and the 9-spirited ascended ginseng surged and cleansed his flesh, causing the glow of his flesh to rise rapidly, as the aura of the immortal ginseng, the Dragon Tiger Orb, and the 9-spirited ascended ginseng were emitted. Something's wrong. The Longhu ancestor beast stared with his eyes open wide as he uttered a roar. He's not being possessed. He's merging with the godly object, resulting in an unimaginable change. Princess Meow Meow was stunned when she heard this, and her eyes revealed great joy. Qin Nan was alive. Baidu search AI Go Xiao Say, www.aichux. Some Qin Nan had survived. He was going to come back to life. Dong, dong, dong. Right at this moment, a heartbeat sounded from Qin Nan's body that was floating in the air. The sound of the heartbeat was like the sound of a mountain shaking the surroundings. Such a terrifying body. Damn it, this body alone is enough to defeat anyone below the martial emperor realm. The Longhu ancestor beast could not help but curse. Not only that, after Qin Nan's body was cleansed, a series of explosions could be heard from his body, which felt like a surging wave, as a mysterious force was awakened in his body. This was the sound of his blood boiling. What the F***K? The Longhu ancestor beast's weakened body was so shocked that he jumped up from the ground. What the F***K is going on? He's refining his bloodline, refining his own bloodline. Bang, bang, bang. When the rumbling sound of the blood in Qin Nan's body finally came to a stop, his entire body was covered with an indescribable aura. The qi in his dantian let out a furious roar that shook the heavens and earth. 7th layer Xiantian realm. 8th layer Xiantian realm. 9th layer Xiantian realm. 10th layer Xiantian realm. As Qin Nan's cultivation skyrocketed to the half-martial emperor realm, a shocking force was emitted from his mind, which covered the surroundings. This is divine sense. The Longhu ancestor beast screamed. The so-called divine sense could only be formed by martial emperor realm expert. With a single thought, one would be able to observe the surroundings like the back of one's hand, making it extremely powerful. Qin Nan's cultivation was only at the 6th layer Xiantian realm a moment ago, but his cultivation had reached the half-martial emperor realm in just a short period of time, and he had even activated his divine sense. What kind of godly object had this guy merged with, to cause such a shocking change to his cultivation? However, his astonishment was not over yet. As Qin Nan's flesh and the aura of his cultivation stabilized, a blue mystical glow was emitted from his back, as a giant illusionary figure of the divine battle spirit emerged from the ground. The divine battle spirit had undergone a huge change, reaching a height of 10 zhang and standing in mid-air like a giant mountain. Its left eye was fully exposed, causing its blurry figure to become lively, as if it was no longer a martial spirit, but a divine battle spirit. Bang! 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 As soon as the divine battle spirit appeared, a series of thunderous explosions took place, as the mystical glow behind it grew rapidly. 2 mystical glows. 3 mystical glows. 4 mystical glows. 5 mystical glows. As the number of mystical glows increased to a total of 7 mystical glows, only then did the story come to an abrupt end. What the F***** K? What the F***** K? What the F**** K? The Longhu ancestor beast was utterly terrified. It was his first time witnessing a martial spirit rising from the 1st grade Xian ranked to the 7th grade Xian rank. What the F**** K is this martial spirit? Princess Miao Miao, who was standing aside, wore an astounded expression on her face. Is this Qin Nan's secret? At that instant, the rare phenomenon finally stopped happening to Qin Nan's body, as his surroundings returned to normal. Who would have thought that my strength would experience such a tremendous change? Qin Nan, who was floating in midair, slowly opened his right eye, as he exhaled a mouthful of murky air. He did not expect the left eye of the divine god of battle to merge with him at the last moment, causing his divine battle spirit's grade to increase by 6 grades. His flesh and cultivation had reached the half-martial emperor realm, and his divine sense had been awakened. In addition to that, Qin Nan could sense a powerful bloodline forming inside his body. Even though it had just been formed, thus it had yet to be fully manifested, yet it still possessed a shocking power. Princess Miao Miao. Qin Nan quickly calmed his thoughts and looked at her with a smile. Princess, thank you so much for your help. Princess Miao Miao rolled her eyes and said, if it weren't for the pills you owe me, I wouldn't even bother with you. In the midst of her speech, her figure shuddered and almost fell to the ground. With a flicker, Qin Nan caught her in his arms, ignoring her clumsy excuse, and said with a calm smile, Yes, the princess is right. You must be tired now, why don't you take a rest? As for the thing you're looking for, don't worry, I'll get it for you. Qin Nan, Princess Miao Miao, was extremely touched. She did not save this guy for nothing. Qin Nan paused for a moment before adding, Of course, you owe me a favor. Princess Miao Miao was so angry that she had the urge to give him a slap. However, she was too tired, as her eyebrows shuddered, before she fell asleep. Qin Nan, let go of my goddess, I challenge you to a duel. The Longhu ancestor beast collected his thoughts after seeing this, and became enraged. Don't think you can be so smug after merging with the godly object. You're still a half-martial emperor realm trash. I can crush you like an ant if I want to, is that so? Qin Nan let out a calm smile, as his left eye sprang open all of a sudden. Chapter 218. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? Sagnet, providing you with interesting novels to read. Qin Nan's left eye turned blue in color, with countless mystical runes bobbing up and down, like an ocean of stars covering the sky and the ground. Love go little say, W Chu. At that instant, an imperious aura similar to that of the divine god of battle was emitted from the eye. It was as if the Longhu ancestor beast's tail had been stepped on, causing him to let out a terrified cry. His enormous body instinctively fled in a frenzy, and he only managed to suppress his fear after running 100 meters away. Despite that, his body was still trembling in fear. What kind of eye technique is that? The Longhu ancestor beast dropped to his knees as his teeth chattered. Qin Nan let out a laugh. After merging with the left eye of the divine god of battle, His eyes of the divine battle spirit were not only able to spy on others, but also awakened another ability, the suppression of the divine god of battle. By unleashing his suppression, he was able to suppress the aura of his enemies, causing them to feel fear and lower their will to battle. That being said, the reason why the Longhu ancestor beast was so terrified was that his cultivation was sealed, and he had spat out the Longhu orb, while his body was severely injured, resulting in his weak will, resulting in such a reaction. Otherwise, the suppression of the divine god of battle would not have any effect on him, as he was an ancestor beast. The left eye of the divine god of battle is extremely powerful, but since my cultivation is too weak, I can only awaken one of its abilities. Once my cultivation improves, I will be able to awaken more of its abilities. Qin Nan mumbled to himself, before he closed his left eye and withdrew the suppression. Luckily, the Longhu ancestor beast had spat out his Longhu orb in order to save his life. Monster, 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 the Longhu ancestor beast stepped forward and mumbled to himself, not daring to provoke Qin Nan any further. Even with its pride and bloodline, it clearly knew that the capabilities of a mere mortal like Qin Nan were a lot more terrifying than its own. Hey, you should think of a way to leave this place. Only one person can survive the trial. I just spent 1,000 years of my lifespan to save you. You shouldn't be so ungrateful as to harm me. The Longhu ancestor beast blurted out as a sudden thought crossed his mind. I know, don't worry. Qin Nan raised his head glancing into the sky and uttered a roar. 9 symbolic words, what are you waiting for? Qin Nan now knew that the so-called hidden 10th word did not exist. The legendary 10th word, battle, referred to the left eye of the divine god of battle, and everything that had happened was arranged by the left eye of the divine god of battle. Boom, boom, boom. A series of explosions took place as 9 blurry figures flew across the rift and landed on the ground. Qin Nan, congratulations. You've obtained the recognition of a divine artifact. The artifact spirit of the Lin character was the first to speak. You've passed this test. You may leave this place now. Before I leave, I have a request. I hope to obtain the heaven-breaking life-continuing ointment. Qin Nan said directly. The Lin artifact spirit exchanged glances with the other artifact spirits and said with a faint smile, You're the successor of a divine artifact. The 9 of us naturally won't refuse. However, according to our rules, only our successors are allowed to take the treasure. Qin Nan, why don't you become the successor of the 9 words mantra? We're willing to lend you a hand too. The Longhu ancestor beast stared with his eyes open wide. What's going on? The 9 words mantra asking Qin Nan to be their master. To continue, please turn the page. What's the requirement to become your successor? Qin Nan was not in a rush to accept the offer. Love go little say ku, you just need to help us, the 9 words mantra, to complete a mission. The Lin character said smilingly, the mission is quite simple for you. That won't be necessary. Qin Nan said without hesitation, I don't need your help. I only want the heaven-breaking life-continuing ointment. The Longhu ancestor beast was dumbfounded. It was his first time seeing someone rejecting the 9 words mantra. Little did he know that Qin Nan had already acquired the left eye of the divine god of battle and the divine battle spirit. Most importantly, Qin Nan realized a problem. Since the left eye had appeared and waited for him for 1,000 years, did that mean the right eye and the entire body of the divine god of battle were also waiting for him in the Kanglan continent? Qin Nan could vaguely sense that the body of the divine god of battle was related to a shocking secret. Therefore, compared to the mission of the 9 words mantra, gathering the body of the divine god of battle was more important. As I thought, the Lin character exchanged glances with the other artifact spirits, and let out a sigh in their hearts after seeing Qin Nan's determination. After a slight hesitation, it said, I can give you the heaven-breaking life-continuing ointment, but I hope you will owe us a favor. I'm afraid we'll need your help in the future. Qin Nan let out a sigh of relief and said in a serious tone, Sure. The promise of a gentleman was worth 1,000 gold. Very well. The Lin character weapon spirit was satisfied, and without any hesitation, it flicked its finger and the wooden box that Princess Meow Meow had been eyeing for a long time landed in Qin Nan's hand. Hey, 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 9 symbolic words mantra weapon spirits, since Qin Nan rejected your offer, you can choose me to be your successor. The Longhu ancestor beast jumped up impatiently. The Lin character weapon spirit did not say anything, but silently cast a disdainful glance at him. Cough cough. After being aware of their gazes, the Longhu ancestor beast let out a few coughs, before glancing at Qin Nan and saying, Qin Nan, I sacrificed 1,000 years of my lifespan in order to save you. Isn't it time for you to pay me back? I don't have many requests, as long as the 9 symbolic words mantra weapon spirits give me another wooden box. Don't worry, I won't mistreat you. Qin Nan burst out laughing, and brought his fists together toward the 9 symbolic words mantra. Thank you, 9 seniors. Now I'll have to trouble you to teleport us out of here. Sure. The Lin character weapon spirit and the others nodded their heads, before standing up and flicking their fingers. At that instant, a boundless glow was emitted, encapsulating Qin Nan's trio within it. With a flash, Qin Nan's trio arrived deep within the Longhu mountain range. The 9-floored underworld pagoda had disappeared, and the 9 symbolic words mantra weapon spirits began to search for their successors once again. Ha ha ha, I'm finally back. The Longhu ancestor beast burst out laughing as his aura rapidly recovered to the martial ancestor realm. He then stared at Qin Nan with his dragon eyes and spoke in a thunderous tone. Qin Nan, are you scared now? I'm now a martial ancestor realm expert. Hand over all your treasures and the godly object at once, and I'll spare your life. Qin Nan showed no sign of fear, as he said in an indifferent tone, Are you sure you want to harm me? The Longhu ancestor beast could not help but admit that he was slightly intimidated. As he thought of Qin Nan's strength and the terrifying godly object, his heart was filled with terror. Damn it, I'll let you go this time since you're so pitiful. The Longhu ancestor beast shook his head. Remember, you owe me a favor. Come here at once when I need you. Goodbye. The Longhu ancestor beast uttered a roar, before his enormous figure began to leave the place. After all, to become an overlord in the Longhu mountain range, in addition to its own cultivation, it also relied on its shamelessness to ensure its safety. Wait! 2 voices could be heard at the same time. Apart from Qin Nan, Princess Meow Meow had also woken up. Are you reluctant to part with me? You can travel the world with me. Don't worry, I'll surely become the strongest expert in the Kanglan continent. The Longhu ancestor beast became excited, and chose to ignore Qin Nan. Stop dreaming. Princess Meow Meow said without mercy, Since you've seen my secret, there's no way I'll let you go. Why don't you be my servant's mount and I'll spare your life? What? The Longhu ancestor beast raised his tone. I have the bloodline of the heavenly dragon and thunderous tiger, and you're asking me to be his mount. Qin Nan was slightly surprised, as he did not expect Princess Meow Meow to say such a thing. Initially, he was planning to keep the Longhu ancestor beast by his side, as the Longhu ancestor beast was too knowledgeable. What? My servant is not qualified to be your master? Princess Meow Meow straightened her face and said, It's your honor. You! The Longhu ancestor beast was utterly disappointed. If he were to be Princess Meow Meow's servant, he would immediately agree, but Princess Meow Meow was asking him to be this human's mount. Does she really look down on me? There's no need to be my mount, Longhu ancestor beast. Since you know too much, we're not willing to let you leave. You're a nice person, why don't we travel the world together? Qin Nan said, I'm sure you're not willing to stay at the Longhu mountain range any longer. This, the Longhu ancestor beast suddenly found Qin Nan pleasing to the eye, as a hint of hesitation appeared on his face. It was true that he was not willing to stay at the Longhu mountain range any longer. He wanted to travel the world, to improve his strength and to show off his outstanding appearance, to charm thousands of girls. Besides, both Princess Miao Miao and Qin Nan were extraordinary, especially this human, who was going to stir a great storm in the continent. Fine, I'll accept it then. The Longhu ancestor beast clenched his teeth, as if the decision was a great loss to him. Princess, this is yours. Qin Nan handed the wooden box to Princess Miao Miao. Princess Miao Miao raised her chin and said in a mature tone, "Very well, you've done well as my servant. You don't have to pay me back the 100,000 martial emperor pills." After saying this, her figure entered the mountain range with a flicker, preparing to refine the pills. "Hey, wait for me," the Longhu ancestor beast immediately followed behind her. Qin Nan withdrew his gaze and scanned his surroundings. After confirming that there was no one around, he sat down with his legs crossed. "Now that my strength has improved tremendously, I need to figure out my future cultivation path. Lastly, I'll return to the Xianling clan." Qin Nan's eyes flickered. Chapter 219. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Let's see how fast my cultivation speed is with this 7th grade Xian ranked martial spirit. Qin Nan calmed his thoughts and unleashed the divine battle spirit into the air to communicate with the heavens and earth and absorb qi. Bang! At that instant, the heavens and earth shuddered violently. With Qin Nan at the center, the qi within 5 li of him began to surge toward him, turning into ferocious gusts of wind, lightning, and thunder. From afar, it looked like a whirlpool of wind and thunder, resulting in a ferocious roar that sent chills down one's spine. The rare phenomenon of wind and thunder. A 7th grade Xian ranked martial spirit is indeed powerful. Qin Nan raised his eyebrows. The amount of qi he had absorbed at that instant was at least 15 times more than his previous absorption. Now that I've reached the half-martial emperor realm, the qi in my body has solidified into a liquid state. I still need to absorb more qi to condense my body core, trigger the martial emperor tribulation, and cleanse my body core to become a real martial emperor. Qin Nan's eyes flickered with excitement. As he was absorbing the qi, his thoughts were extremely open, allowing him to grasp the secrets of cultivation, resulting in a terrifying comprehension ability. The main reason for this was that the divine battle spirit had leveled up to the 7th grade Xian rank. Both his cultivation speed and comprehension had improved significantly. Apart from cultivating, I shouldn't let my outstanding flesh go to waste. I should find a top-tier body tempering art. Baidu search AI Go Xiao Shua www.aichux.com. Qin Nan observed his flesh and made up his mind. Currently, his flesh contained the immortal qi of the 9-spirited, ascended ginseng and the essence of the Longhu orb. These two powerful forces were extremely mysterious, and he had yet to fully absorb them. Once he was able to refine them, his flesh would become extremely terrifying. And my divine sense. In the middle of his mind was a clear pond with a diameter of 10 feet. This was the so-called divine sense. Qin Nan pondered for a while, before he said to himself, "It's my fortune to have awakened my divine sense when I was only a half-martial emperor realm cultivator. If I cultivate my divine sense properly, it will also be very powerful. If I cultivate my divine sense, it will also be a great battle strength." After reaching the martial king realm, one would be able to develop a divine sense. One would be able to learn all kinds of techniques and evolve divine sense attacks to fight against enemies. At this time, Qin Nan had completely sorted out his train of thought. Other than that, there's also my wealth. Qin Nan's face was filled with excitement. He had obtained a great fortune from his trip to the Longhu mountain range. He had plundered 360,000 martial emperor pills from the 4 great clans, as well as spirit tools, healing pills, clan-suppressing martial skills, etc. The total value was 577,000 martial emperor pills. He had acquired a total of 5 Xiantian weapons, 360 emperor beast cores, and 540 arcane realm stones. If these were exchanged for martial emperor pills, the value would be shocking. After merging with the left eye of the divine god of battle, my martial spirit continued to improve. My martial spirit has leveled up to the 6th grade. If I were to exchange these for pills, I'm afraid my martial spirit would be able to rank up to the 9th grade Xian ranked. Qin Nan's eyes flickered. When I return to the Xianling clan, the first thing I'll do is to exchange for martial emperor pills. Compared to his plan of cultivation, Qin Nan was more eager to rank up his divine battle spirit. The divine battle spirit was extremely powerful. As it leveled up, it would awaken more abilities. Similarly, the higher the grade of the divine battle spirit, the greater the potential of Qin Nan's future. Princess Miao Miao is still recovering. Qin Nan glanced into the distance. He could sense an enormous aura rising and falling in the distance as it continued to recover. I'll cultivate first. Qin Nan calmed his thoughts and began to strengthen his cultivation. During this period of time, an interesting incident took place. As the Longhu ancestor beast was about to leave the Longhu mountain range, he proceeded to roar like dragons and tigers all day long, leading a group of emperor beasts and having a great time, scaring the martial clans in the nearby cities. 8 days later, Princess Miao Miao came out from her seclusion. Her strength had fully recovered, and the primary force in her body had also recovered significantly. Qin Nan immediately set off with Princess Miao Miao and the Longhu ancestor beast, returning to Linshui City. While at Linshui City, Qin Nan was told that Bailieshua had attacked the Qin clan. He let out a hollow laugh without saying anything. Following this, he did not cultivate in the city, but spent most of his time chatting with his father and third uncle, and giving guidance to the disciples in their cultivation. This caused the Qin clan to be extremely excited, causing countless disciples to flock to him. 5 days later, Qin Nan and the other 2 bid farewell to Qin Tian and left for the Xianling clan secretly. Tianfeng Mountain, Xianling clan. Whether it was the outer sect disciples or the various grand elders, all of them had recently felt the strange atmosphere within the sect. Firstly, the June Alliance expanded rapidly, recruiting 39 genius disciples, including many inner disciples. Among them, 8 of the disciples of the June Alliance killed someone in the Xianling clan and left without being punished. Following this, Ouyang Jun had successfully overcome the tribulation of the Martial Emperor realm and leveled up to the Martial Emperor realm. Following this, the 4 hall leaders paid him a visit to congratulate him. Besides that, the leaders of the Hall of Fame and the Skills Library of the Xianling clan had a conflict with each other, resulting in a huge battle. In the end, the Great Elder had to intervene personally to resolve the conflict. With all these happenings happening one after another, everyone realized that something big was about to happen in the Mystic Spirit sect. On this particular day, 3 figures appeared at the foot of Tianfeng Mountain all of a sudden. So this is your sect? What a piece of trash, only a martial ancestor realm expert. If you are going to stay here any longer, I'm not going to play with you anymore. The Longhu Dominator beast let out a disdainful laugh, before his figure transformed into a handsome young man. The handsome young man had 2 bumps on his forehead, as if he had been beaten up by someone. Qin Nan, this Xianling clan is boring. Princess Miao Miao raised her head in a noble manner. You are now a half-martial Emperor Realm genius with a 7th grade Xian ranked martial spirit. You can go to the 2 sacred areas of the lower district and become their disciple. TSK, those 2 sacred areas are really rich. Princess Meow Meow squinted her eyes as a cunning grin appeared on her face. It was unknown what she was planning. The two sacred areas, Qin Nan's eyes flickered. The Kanglan continent was divided into the upper district and the lower district. In the lower district, the two sacred areas were considered the top two factions, which gathered all the geniuses of the lower district. Once I've sorted out my belongings and leveled up my martial spirit, I'll arrange everything, then I'll visit old Shan and have a talk with him. Qin Nan made up his mind. With his current cultivation, it was meaningless for him to stay at the Xianling clan. Only by going to the two sacred areas would he be able to fight against more experts and geniuses. Following this, Qin Nan, Princess Meow Meow, and the Longhu Dominator Beast entered the sect together. Meanwhile, at the first residence of the Inner Domain Peak, Ouyang Jun's face was flushed with excitement. His father's plan was about to succeed, and he had successfully leveled up to the Martial Emperor realm, causing him to feel extremely joyful. Qingxue, now that I've become a Martial Emperor, it's time for you to marry me according to our agreement. Ouyang Jun glanced at the lady not far away with a fiery look in his eyes. Xiao Qingxue's figure shuddered as she bit her lips without saying anything. What is it? Ouyang Jun's face darkened after seeing her reaction. Are you still thinking about Qin Nan? Let me tell you, if you didn't beg me, even if Qin Nan surrendered, I would have killed him long ago. Xiao Qingxue held her breath as she said in a low voice, I know, I'll marry you, don't worry. That's for the best. Ouyang Jun let out a hollow laugh and said, You better behave yourself. You clearly know that it's no longer the same as before. In a few days, the Xianling clan will belong to our Ouyang clan. After saying this, Ouyang Jun stared at Xiao Qingxue. He enjoyed seeing her face filled with despair. However, at that instant, a figure rapidly approached them, which turned out to be Li Hong. As Li Hong arrived, she glanced at Xiao Qingxue and said, Qin Nan is back. Ouyang Jun's eyes flickered. Xiao Qingxue's dull eyes flickered slightly, before they became dull again. Meanwhile, the news of Qin Nan's return was spread to the surroundings as if it had grown wings, allowing countless people to know about it. In the strange atmosphere of Xianling sect, there was an undercurrent. Chapter 220. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second Divided by Little? Shua Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. You two stay here for now, I have something to attend to. Qin Nan brought the Longhu ancestor beast and Princess Meow Meow to the third residence, and gave Princess Meow Meow a hint, telling her to take care of the Longhu ancestor beast, to prevent him from causing any trouble. Before Princess Meow Meow could finish rolling her eyes, Qin Nan's figure disappeared with a flicker, causing her to stomp her foot in anger and scold the Longhu ancestor beast, causing him to wear a confused expression. After leaving the third residence, Qin Nan headed straight to the Hall of Fame. His first priority was to exchange all the beast cores. I've completed the quest. Qin Nan arrived and said to the disciple of the Hall of Fame. Sure, I'll contact the person who gave you the quest. Please wait in room 304 on the second floor. The disciple said in a respectful tone after seeing Qin Nan's extraordinary appearance. Qin Nan raised his head slightly, and with a kick, his figure entered room 304 on the second floor at the speed of a gust of wind. He did not have to wait for long. After a few breaths' time, a figure entered the room. The person was a young man in his mid-20s. Despite his ordinary appearance, his aura was incredibly powerful, and the faint roars of beasts could be heard from his body, causing one's heart to beat rapidly. A love go little say, Ku, you've completed the quest? As soon as the young man entered the room, his pair of green eyes glanced at Qin Nan, before his face turned dark. How many beasts could you have killed with your Xiantian realm cultivation? Let me tell you, my time is precious. If you were to waste my time today, you will be responsible for the consequences. The young man's name was Ma Qian, who possessed a 10th grade Huang-ranked martial spirit. He was ranked 4th among the inner disciples. He had been in a bad mood recently due to the great change in the sect, causing many disciples to leave the sect to avoid the calamity. No one was willing to help him hunt beasts, causing his cultivation to stagnate. As such, when he heard that someone had completed the quest, he immediately rushed over here, only to find out that the person was only a mere Xiantian realm cultivator, causing him to feel incredibly depressed. How many beasts could a mere Xiantian realm cultivator kill? Qin Nan let out a calm smile after hearing this and said, "Senior brother, why are you judging a book by its cover? What's more, I feel that there's something wrong with your eyes. You can't see clearly at all. Also, I would like to ask senior brother, do you have enough martial emperor pills to pay the bill?" "You!" Ma Qian was immediately enraged. A mere outer sect disciple actually dared to ridicule him. "What do you mean there's something wrong with my eyes? What do you mean by enough to pay the bill?" "Sure, I would like to see it for myself." Ma Qian was not good with words, as his eyes flickered with a hint of murderous intent. "Show me your beast cores." "Senior brother, open your eyes wide and take a good look," Qin Nan retorted without mercy. Now that he had made up his mind to leave the Xianling clan, there was no need to be secretive about it. Regardless of who it was, as long as they were rude to him, he would not mind giving them a good slap on the face before leaving. Qin Nan took out 40 Foundation martial beast cores from his storage bag. "Hee, it's only 40 Foundation martial beast cores." Ma Qian burst out laughing. He could easily digest these beast cores in a single gulp. However, before he could unleash his anger, Qin Nan took out another pile of beast cores. There were a total of 50 of them, each emitting a shocking aura of a dominator. "These are..." Ma Qian's eyes immediately went blank. These were 50 Emperor Beast cores, and they were all advanced Emperor Beast cores. Not bad. Ma Qian did not expect this Xiantian realm presence to possess such capabilities, causing his expression to become calmer as he said in a satisfied tone, "No wonder you're so scornful, you have such confidence. Since you've given me these beast cores, I'll forgive you for what you did just then. Don't worry, there's more." Qin Nan took out another 50 Emperor Beast cores from his storage bag. Another 50? Ma Qian was astounded, as he immediately realized that this young man before him possessed a formidable background. Ordinary cultivators would not be able to hunt these 100 advanced Emperor Beast cores, let alone take them out. "I'm sorry, there's still one more." Qin Nan let out a smile, as he took out the remaining 260 beast cores. At that instant, a total of 360 advanced Emperor Beast cores were stacked together, emitting a strong Emperor Beast suppression that swept the entire second floor, startling the disciples who were in the midst of a discussion, resulting in an uproar. This, Ma Qian was dumbfounded. These are 360 advanced Emperor Beast cores. Even an ordinary martial ancestor realm expert would have a hard time killing so many advanced Emperor Beast cores. Why does this Xiantian realm presence have so many beast cores? At that instant, Ma Qian recalled the disrespect he had toward Qin Nan when he first entered the room. Nan's disrespect caused his face to redden. This young man before him was not being scornful, he was definitely qualified to do so. Ma Qian wore an awkward expression as he said, "It was my fault. Please forgive me for my rudeness." A smile appeared on Qin Nan's face when he saw him admitting his mistake. "Senior brother, what are you talking about? Do you think these 360 Emperor Beast cores are enough?" Yes. Ma Qian immediately nodded, and a trace of excitement appeared on his face. He said, "Junior brother, thank you so much. You've solved my desperate situation. I'll give you 20,000 martial emperor pills for each of these beast cores. How does that sound?" Sure." Qin Nan was slightly surprised. He did not expect these beast cores to be so valuable. If he knew this, he would have discussed with the weapon spirits of the 9 symbolic words and asked them to keep the corpses of the beasts. Well, the main thing is that I don't have enough money on me. Otherwise, these beast cores would be worth more than this. Ma Qian handed over a storage bag and said in a slightly embarrassed tone, "Brother, I'm Ma Qian. What's your name? I've taken advantage of you this time. If you have any problems in the future, just let me know and I'll settle them for you." After saying this, Ma Qian was filled with pride. Qin Nan received the storage bag, and nodded his head after seeing 7,200,000 martial emperor pills inside. This Ma Qian is quick to admit his mistake, and does things in a generous manner, like a super genius. He then nodded his head and said, "I'm Qin Nan. I believe senior brother has heard of me before." Qin Nan? The name Qin Nan sounds familiar. A confused look appeared on Ma Qian's face. Qin Nan rose from his seat and brought his fists together. "Brother Ma, I've got something to do, so I'll be leaving first." Normally, Qin Nan would be willing to befriend him, but after seeing the value of 360 martial emperor pills, he could not wait to fly to the treasure vault and exchange all his treasures for pills. How many pills would he be able to exchange for with his current possessions? "Sure, you can leave first." Ma Qian immediately nodded his head. After seeing Qin Nan leaving, he mumbled to himself, "Strange, strange, this name sounds familiar." Ma Qian mumbled to himself for a while, before his expression changed greatly as he recalled something. "Qin Nan, I remember who he is now. Damn it, why did he come back to the sect at this time?" Ma Qian's expression changed rapidly. After a while, he let out a deep breath and mumbled, "Qin Nan, it's not that your senior brother isn't loyal enough, but there are too many people involved. I can't afford to offend them. Let's hope you can survive this." Chapter 221. Genius Remembers Love in a Second Divided by Xiao? Shuaweb, providing you with interesting novels to read. Meanwhile, at the first residence of the Inner Domain Peak. Baidu Search AI Go Xiaosei, www.aichux.com. According to the information, Qin Nan is heading to the Hall of Fame. Li Hong said in a calm tone. He is there to complete a mission, and met the 4th-ranked inner disciple, Ma Qian. When we asked Ma Qian, he refused to answer. So be it. Ouyang Jun let out a laugh. Now this Qin Nan can only rely on completing missions to acquire pills. Xiao Qingshue's shoulders trembled slightly, but she remained silent. Furthermore, Qin Nan is heading to the treasure vault. According to our analysis, it's highly possible that he is there to sell some treasures. Li Hong said. Is that so? Ouyang Jun touched his chin, as his eyes flickered with a sinister look. Since he is so desperate for pills, I won't let him have his way. Let's inform the treasure vault and send someone there to deal with Qin Nan, and rob him of everything he owns. Ouyang Jun. Xiao Qingshu rose from her seat after hearing this and snapped. Didn't you promise me not to harm Qin Nan? Why are you going back on your words now? Did I harm him? Ouyang Jun let out a hollow laugh. Xiao Qingxue, I'm telling you, don't talk to me with such a tone. I'm only robbing him of his pills. I'm already being merciful by not taking his life. Don't force me. You. Xiao Qingshue's eyes were spitting fire, as she sat down helplessly with a dull expression after recalling the past. After leaving the Hall of Fame, Qin Nan swiftly arrived at the 2nd floor of the treasure vault. The 2nd floor was bustling with noise, as countless disciples shuttled back and forth, resulting in a lively scene. Qin Nan retracted his aura and arrived at the treasure trading hall. Just as its name suggested, the treasure trading hall was set up specifically for the disciples of the treasure vault to collect all kinds of treasures from the disciples. Inside the treasure trading hall sat 10 old men. Although their cultivations were only at the Xiantian realm, Their eyes were extremely sharp, as they were able to analyze the treasures presented to them by the disciples, allowing them to determine the best price they could offer. Qin Nan walked up to an old man and cupped his hands. "Senior, I would like to sell some martial skills and spirit weapons." "Martial techniques and spirit artifacts?" The old man was slightly stunned. He looked at Qin Nan from head to toe and felt that he looked familiar. Suddenly, he remembered the order that he had just passed down and said, "Report your name and disciple ranking." Qin Nan frowned slightly. He had no idea that the treasure trading hall had such a rule. However, he did not think too much about it and calmly said, "Disciple Qin Nan, staying at the third residence of the inner domain peak." Although his voice was not loud, the disciples and the old men in the treasure trading hall could hear it clearly. However, the words were clearly heard. In the blink of an eye, the originally noisy treasure trading hall fell into a deathly silence. All the disciples and the old men glanced at Qin Nan in astonishment. They had already heard the news about Qin Nan's return to the sect, but they did not expect him to be here at the treasure trading hall. The old man quickly collected his thoughts and said in a calm tone, "So you're Qin Nan. I've long heard of your name. Show me all the martial skills and spirit weapons of your clans." Qin Nan felt a little strange, but he did not think too much about it. He waved his hand and took out all the martial skills of the 4 great clans, placing them on the table. The Sun-Moon Bracelet, the Underworld Ocean Orb, the Dong Dragon Spear, the Emperor Slaying Sword, and other spirit weapons were also taken out and placed together. When the surrounding disciples saw this, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. F***Kmi, 8 spirit weapons, and 4 top-grade spirit weapons. I'm afraid these martial skills are extraordinary too. That's a huge amount. The eyes of the 10 elders who were in charge of inspecting the treasures flickered with astonishment. Not bad, these are all advanced martial skills. The old man quickly scanned the treasures and complimented. These spirit weapons are not bad either, especially these 4. Their power is impressive, but the old man changed his tone and said in a cold tone, "These 4 spirit weapons are severely damaged, and their power is not as strong as before. The other spirit weapons are also damaged to a certain extent. As for these clan heirloom martial skills, although they are powerful, they are incomparable to the Xianling clan's martial skills." Qin Nan did not feel unpleasant, but nodded his head secretly. These spirit weapons had all been destroyed by him during the battle. "Senior, please name your price," Qin Nan said. The surrounding disciples gathered around with flickering eyes, but they did not make any noise, as they sharply sensed that something was not right. Qin Nan was clueless about the rules, but they clearly knew that the treasure trading hall did not care about the origin of the treasures, nor their names. Not to mention that 8 spirit weapons, even if they were damaged, together with these clan heirloom martial skills, it was still considered a huge deal, thus the elders had to show up in person. Now that the elders had yet to show up, and this little attendant was speaking in a cold tone, it was enough to prove that something was not right. "These things are not bad." A smile appeared on the old man's face as he said, "Since you've brought glory to the sect, we'll take all of them for 1,000 martial emperor pills." After hearing this, the surrounding disciples wore a look of, as expected, on their faces. Qin Nan burst out laughing after hearing this, but he was infuriated. 1,000 martial emperor pills? How dare you say that out loud? I'm calling you senior because of your knowledge. Don't be so shameless when I'm giving you face. I'll make it clear, I'm not that easy to bully. Qin Nan was not stupid. He immediately realized that someone was messing with him. These clan heirloom martial skills were worth 30,000 martial emperor pills, and the total value of these spirit weapons was more than 50,000 martial emperor pills. And that was only a conservative estimate. And now this old man was only offering 1,000 martial emperor pills? That was no different than robbery. You. The old man became enraged as his face turned pale. I'm telling you, Qin Nan, you better apologize to me. If not, these things are not even worth a single martial emperor pill. The eyes of the other 9 old men flickered, but they remained silent. Is that so? Qin Nan calmly glanced at him and said, I'll give you one last chance to exchange these things for my martial emperor pills. If not, don't speak while standing, kneel down. Very well, you're out of your mind, daring to harm me in the sect. I'd like to see if you dare to harm me today. The old man was enraged. Normally, he would be intimidated by Qin Nan, but it was different now. He was not afraid of Qin Nan at all. The surrounding disciples stared with their eyes open wide. They had long heard about Qin Nan's disdain, and they had finally witnessed it today. Who says I'm going to harm you? Qin Nan burst out laughing all of a sudden. You will feel ashamed of your own unfairness, and kneel down to apologize on your own accord. Everyone at the scene was stunned. What was Qin Nan saying? Ashamed of my own accord, kneeling down to apologize on my own accord? The enraged old man burst out laughing. Who would have thought that you, Qin Nan, are just a young man full of nonsense? Kneel down to apologize on my own accord? I think you've been kicked in the head. Before he could finish, a thunderous roar could be heard all of a sudden. Kneel down. In Qin Nan's left eye, the pitch-black eyeball suddenly turned green, as a tremendous suppression was emitted from it. Eye technique, the might of the divine god of battle. Under the crowd's gaze, the old man let out a cry of agony, as if he had just encountered something extremely terrifying, causing his face to be filled with terror, as he knelt down heavily on the ground with a thud, while his body trembled in fear. The surrounding crowd was dumbfounded seeing this. What's going on? Qin Nan let out a roar. Did this guy really kneel down? Chapter 222. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second Divided by Small? Shua Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Even the Longhu ancestor beast was intimidated by the suppression of the divine god of battle, not to mention this old man who was only at the Xiantian realm. Love Go Small said, Chu, if it weren't for Qin Nan restraining most of his power, the old man's soul would have been severely injured, causing him to lose his mind in fear. You! How could you do this? Stand up at once! The other 9 old men blurted out after recovering from the initial shock. Under Qin Nan's control, he could control the target and the range of the suppression, thus he could only unleash the suppression of the divine god of battle on the old man alone. The others would not be aware of it. What is it? Are you guys here to deal with me too? Qin Nan glanced at them coldly. The 9 old men were instantly scared out of their wits, who shook their heads continuously. Regardless of what Qin Nan had done, he was not someone they could handle. They did not want to kneel down in front of the crowd, as it would be too embarrassing. That's enough, tell your mastermind to come out. I'm not interested in dealing with you guys. Qin Nan said in a calm tone. We don't have any mastermind, the 9 old men forced themselves to say. Either way, they could not afford to be exposed. Otherwise, they would be punished even more severely. However, as soon as they finished speaking, a burst of laughter could be heard all of a sudden. Ha ha ha, how interesting, our famous genius Qin Nan dares to bully a bunch of old men in this tiny treasure trading hall. The crowd immediately turned their heads toward the source of the voice. Love Go Small said, Chu. The voice could be heard before the person could be seen. A plump man with squinted eyes and a golden chain on his waist could be seen approaching the crowd. Behind him were 9 inner domain disciples with a cultivation of the 6th layer Xiantian realm, resulting in a magnificent aura, causing the crowd to subconsciously make way for him. The scene immediately attracted the attention of every disciple in the 2nd floor of the treasure vault. Isn't that Qin Nan? F***Kmi, what's going on? Isn't that Zhou Yang? Something interesting is about to happen. The atmosphere on the second floor of the treasure vault became extremely lively. There was no need to mention Qin Nan's name, but this Zhou Yang was well known to everyone, who was ranked in the top 10 super geniuses of the inner domain, and a member of the June Alliance. Qin Nan wore a calm expression. With a glimpse, he was able to tell that Zhou Yang's cultivation had reached the 7th layer Xiantian realm, and his martial spirit was 10th grade Huang rank. He also had 3 mystical weapons on him, and he even had some kind of evil medicine that was specifically used to harm women. The aura emitted from the evil medicine was different from ordinary pills. Qin Nan immediately noticed it. It wasn't that Qin Nan was arrogant, but he had no interest in such a despicable character like Zhou Yang. It seems that you were instructed by Ouyang Jun, right? Qin Nan didn't even lift his eyelids as he said, "Now, I'll give you a chance. Get lost quickly. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Love go little say ku crazy. Disdainful. The crowd of disciples took a deep breath. Qin Nan is indeed Qin Nan, still disdainful and lawless under such circumstances. Impolite, how nice of you. Zhou Yang's face instantly turned cold as he said, "Qin Nan, what else do you have apart from your sharp tongue? You took the initiative to challenge senior brother Ling Feng to a duel, but in the end, you chose to run away due to fear of death. Do you really need me to mention this? I'm too lazy to waste my time with a coward like you. I'll give you." Normally, he would not treat Qin Nan with such an attitude, as he was not an idiot. However, the situation was different now. Qin Nan was no longer a threat. Therefore, after receiving Ouyang Jun's order, Zhou Yang accepted it without hesitation, and made his entrance in a flashy manner, attracting the attention of the crowd. His next step was to humiliate Qin Nan. However, before he could finish, Qin Nan interrupted him with a wave of his hand, and said in a cold tone, "Zhou Yang, right? Don't you know that I have a rule? My enemies have to kneel before me when they talk to me. Therefore, you should kneel before me." At that instant, everyone was stunned. Kneel before me? Qin Nan dares to ask Zhou Yang and the others to kneel before him? This. How disdainful is this? Ha 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 ha. To everyone's surprise, Zhou Yang burst out laughing. "How nice of you, Qin Nan, to humiliate the members of the June Alliance in public. According to the rules of the June Alliance, you should be executed on the spot. Since you're the disciple of the Great Elder, a super genius with a 10th grade Huang-ranked martial spirit, I'll spare your life and cripple you instead. Do it." Zhou Yang uttered a raging roar as his aura burst out, causing his bulky figure to become agile and ferocious. The 9 disciples behind him let out a hideous laugh, as they either executed their killing blows with their qi, or took out their mystical weapons. At that instant, a strong gust of wind swept across the place as mystical glows flickered. Several attacks were fired at Qin Nan. The crowd of disciples held their breaths as they stared at the scene before them, not willing to miss a single detail. It was extremely rare to see something like this. Strange, why is the June Alliance so scornful, daring to attack me directly? Qin Nan mumbled to himself. Facing the attacks from the crowd, his figure remained still, but he suddenly spoke, "Since you guys are so ignorant, I guess I'll have to do it myself. Kneel down." His left eye emitted a brilliant glow, as a tremendous suppression was emitted, penetrating the souls of Zhou Yang and the others. A strange sight took place. The figures of Zhou Yang and the other 9 disciples, who were initially emitting a murderous aura, came to a stop when they were a zhang away from Qin Nan, as they let out cries of agony, while their faces were filled with terror. Following a series of thuds, Zhou Yang and the other 9 disciples dropped to their knees. Buzz. The crowd of disciples felt their minds buzzing after seeing this, as they stared with their eyes open wide, unable to utter a single word due to the astonishment. What was going on? Why did Zhou Yang and the others drop to their knees? What did Qin Nan do to possess such a terrifying ability? At that instant, everyone subconsciously inhaled deeply, as their figures began to tremble. Qin Nan stared at Zhou Yang, who had dropped to his knees with an expressionless face, and said in a calm tone, "What's wrong? Are you being obedient now? I asked you to drop to your knees, but you didn't and forced me to do it. By the way, weren't you going to cripple me? Why aren't you doing it?" Zhou Yang and the other 9 disciples could feel their teeth chattering. In their eyes, Qin Nan was like a demon, causing them to feel extremely terrified, and they could not wait to run away from this place. "What's wrong? Aren't you going to answer my question?" Qin Nan uttered a thunderous roar, as his left eye locked onto Zhou Yang's figure, accumulating his suppression, which felt like layers of invisible mountains penetrating Zhou Yang's soul. A cry of agony could be heard. Under the crowd's gaze, Zhou Yang's terrified expression turned hideous, as blood leaked out from his mouth, causing the crowd to feel a chill in their hearts. Boring. Qin Nan shook his head and closed his left eye. Buzz. Zhou Yang and the other 9 disciples felt as if their brains had emitted a pleasant sound, as their souls returned to their bodies, causing them to wake up. Their bodies were covered in sweat, as they collapsed onto the ground in exhaustion, without the previous scornful look on their faces. They now glanced at Qin Nan as if they were looking at a demon. They were utterly terrified. The other disciples had no idea, but they clearly knew that at that instant, the great pressure and the fear they felt were indescribable. Qin Nan turned his head around and stopped looking at them, as he said to the 9 old men, "Just sell them all to me. Just give me 100,000 martial emperor pills." Yes, yes, yes. The 9 old men had long been scared out of their wits by the scene just now. How could they dare to refuse? They hurriedly went to retrieve the pills. At that instant, a shocking roar could be heard all of a sudden. How bold! Following the roar, a powerful suppression of the martial emperor realm was emitted, which turned out to be a martial emperor realm expert. Chapter 223. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second/Small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Temple Master Zhang. It's actually Temple Master Zhang. He is the leader of the 9 Vice Palace Masters, the future Palace Master of the Treasure Vault. Why is he here? Is he the one who is dealing with Qin Nan? The crowd of disciples became restless after the initial shock. Qin Nan looked over. This vice leader Zhang was a middle-aged man with a square face, giving him an imperious appearance. His cultivation had reached the 7th layer martial emperor realm, and every step he took was accompanied by an invisible force, causing one's heart to tremble. Vice Palace leader Zhang's expression was unsightly. Today, when he received Ouyang Jun's message, he thought about it again and again. Because of his status, it was not convenient for him to appear. Therefore, he personally ordered the deacons of his sect to deal with Qin Nan. However, he did not expect this Qin Nan to be so lawless. He had no idea what kind of trick he had used to humiliate the Hall of Fame. Vice Leader Zhang's footsteps halted as he glanced at Zhou Yang and the others kneeling on the ground. He immediately realized what was going on and yelled, "Still not getting up?" He had used an ancient secret technique called the pure sound technique. When he used this technique, every word he uttered would have the power to awaken one's mind and dispel one's inner demons. In Vice Palace Master Zhang's opinion, the kneeling of Zhou Yang and the others must have been done by Qin Nan. However, Zhou Yang and the other 9 disciples were still kneeling on the ground. Their bodies were trembling, and their faces were filled with fear. They were not awakened by the shout. Baidu search AI Go Xiaosei www.aichux. Some Qin Nan smiled faintly and said, "Temple Master Zhang, right? It seems that you don't know that they took the initiative to kneel down. No matter how you called them, they were unwilling to get up. Vice Palace leader Zhang's expression instantly changed, becoming extremely ugly. The mouths of all the disciples twitched. Kneel down voluntarily? Unwilling to get up? Only a fool would believe you. Although this Qin Nan is arrogant and despotic, he is not simple at all. A while ago, he was only at the Xiantian second stage, but now, he has reached such a high level. Although Vice Leader Zhang wore a dark expression on his face, he was analyzing the situation in his heart, as he mumbled to himself, "Such a pity, even if you are a super genius with an immeasurable future, it's useless to offend Ouyang Jun even with the protection of the Great Elder." After sighing with emotion, Deputy Palace Master Zhang said coldly, "Qin Nan, as a disciple of the Xianling clan, you want to force people to buy and sell things in the treasure vault. Don't you know you are breaking the rules?" Rules. Qin Nan's face instantly turned cold. "Deputy Temple Master Zhang, you must have received instructions from Ouyang Jun and the others, right? Since you want to deal with me, then bring it on. Stop beating around the bush and spouting nonsense." The faces of all the disciples shuddered. They did not expect this Qin Nan to be so scornful, scolding Vice Leader Zhang straight away. Vice Leader Zhang's face turned extremely unpleasant, as he had the urge to attack and slap Qin Nan to death. Luckily, he had great patience, which allowed him to suppress his anger. Although the situation had changed, he could not deny it. He admitted that he could not afford to offend the Great Elder, thus he was still intimidated by Qin Nan. "What instructions? I have no idea what you're talking about," Vice Leader Zhang said in a stiff tone. "Is that so?" Qin Nan showed no mercy. "You're not blind, you should be able to tell that these things are worth 80,000 Martial Emperor pills. Then why is the treasure vault only giving me 1,000 Martial Emperor pills? Do you guys think I'm easy to bully?" The last few words were uttered with a heavier tone, as Qin Nan slowly reached out his hand and took out a badge from his storage bag. After seeing the badge, Vice Leader Zhang's heart shuddered. He was not an idiot like the first elder of the outer disciples and Vice Leader Zhao. He clearly knew the value of this purple dragon Scarlet Fang badge. "Is that so? Don't worry, I'll definitely deal with this guy properly." A hint of anger appeared on Vice Leader Zhang's face. The surrounding disciples were stunned. What's wrong with Vice Leader Zhang? Why did he give in so quickly? At that instant, Vice Leader Zhang suddenly changed his tone and said in a calm tone, "I'm sorry for what happened just then. However, Qin Nan, there's something I have to tell you. For a treasure like yours that is only worth 80,000 Martial Emperor pills, our treasure trading hall will not buy it, as the value of these treasures is too low. If you want to exchange them for pills at the treasure trading hall, they are worth at least 3 million Martial Emperor pills." After hearing this, the crowd instantly came to a realization. This Vice Leader Zhang was indeed the top Vice Leader. He was extremely resourceful. His previous sentence of condemning the person in charge was equivalent to giving Qin Nan an explanation. His last sentence was a tactful rejection of Qin Nan's request. Not buying a treasure worth 80,000 Martial Emperor pills? Under normal circumstances, the treasure trading hall would immediately purchase the item, as they were afraid that the seller would regret his decision. As for the 3 million Martial Emperor pills, even an ordinary inner disciple would not be able to afford it. Qin Nan had to borrow pills from others, and complete missions outside the sect. How could he afford such a sum of money? It was a roundabout way of telling Qin Nan that the treasure trading hall did not welcome him, and that he should avoid it on his own. "Oh!" Qin Nan raised his eyebrows and said, "Interesting, interesting. I still need 3 million Martial Emperor pills to exchange for pills at the treasure trading hall. If that's the rule, let's follow the rules." Everyone, including Vice Leader Zhang, was stunned. What did he mean by that? Was Qin Nan planning to take out something worth 3 million Martial Emperor pills? Was he kidding? Hee, do as you wish. Vice Leader Zhang put on a fake smile. This Qin Nan did not want to give him face. Don't blame me when the time comes. Qin Nan slowly took out an ancient bronze sword from his storage bag and said, How much is this thing worth? Xiantian weapon. Vice Leader Zhang's expression changed greatly. The surrounding disciples held their breaths as they stared at the ancient bronze sword in Qin Nan's hand with fiery eyes. A Xiantian weapon. A Xiantian weapon. Even if it was a Xiantian weapon that even the super geniuses of the inner disciples could not own. This Xiantian weapon is only worth 700,000 martial emperor pills. Vice Leader Zhang quickly calmed his thoughts, as a cold grin appeared on his face. Although he was shocked when he saw Qin Nan taking out a Xiantian weapon, the value of one Xiantian weapon was not enough. He did not believe that this Qin Nan would be able to take out another Xiantian weapon today. 700,000 martial emperor pills, not bad. Qin Nan raised his head slightly, as he took out another arcane realm stone and asked, How much is this thing worth? Arcane realm stone. Vice Leader Zhang's face was filled with astonishment. Among the surrounding disciples, some of them could not help but inhale deeply. The arcane realm stone contained a strong arcane intent within it, which was extremely rare. Each of them was extremely expensive. The price of this arcane realm stone depends on the situation. It can be sold for 500,000 each, or 300,000 each. The treasure trading hall will only offer 200,000 martial emperor pills. Vice Leader Zhang soon calmed his thoughts, as he said in an indifferent tone, however, It's only an arcane realm stone, and a Xiantian weapon. I'm sorry to say, it's not even half of our price. Is that so? Qin Nan let out a smile, as he flipped his hand and took out the other 4 Xiantian weapons, which emitted a strong glow. The crowd could feel their brains shuddering after seeing the glow. Even Vice Leader Zhang's expression changed tremendously. 5 Xiantian weapons? Qin Nan has 5 Xiantian weapons? I have more of these stones too. Qin Nan let out a hollow laugh as he waved his hand, causing 100 arcane realm stones to appear before the crowd. A strong arcane intent was emitted toward the surroundings. The appearance of 5 Xiantian weapons was enough to shock them, but the appearance of 100 arcane realm stones completely shocked them. 100 arcane realm stones. Qin Nan has 100 arcane realm stones. Even the entire stock of the Xianling clan did not have this many arcane realm stones. If these arcane realm stones were to be exchanged into martial emperor pills, it would be a total of 20 million martial emperor pills. How significant was 20 million martial emperor pills? Even if they were to be exchanged into martial ancestor pills, it would be 200,000 martial emperor pills, a terrifying amount of wealth. However, their astonishment was not over yet. Qin Nan flipped his hand and took out the remaining 440 arcane realm stones, which formed a small mountain in front of him, emitting a blinding glow. Before the crowd could react, Qin Nan said in a cold tone, I'm sorry, my hands are too small, so I can only take them out in 2 batches. Vice Leader Zhang, I would like to ask you now, do I have the right to trade for pills at your treasure trading hall? The entire second floor of the treasure vault was filled with the rumbling thunder. Chapter 224. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. 5 Xiantian weapons. 540 arcane realm stones. Even though Vice Leader Zhang had been through a lot, he still felt dizzy when he saw such a huge amount of wealth, as if someone had struck him hard in the head. This, facing Qin Nan's questioning, Vice Leader Zhang was left speechless. What should he say? Is Qin Nan not qualified? Now it's not that Qin Nan is not qualified, but that the treasure trading hall is unable to afford this amount of pills. Why are you so quiet? Qin Nan knew that this vice leader Zhang was most likely one of the culprit. How could he let him go so easily? He then took a step forward and said in a thunderous tone, "This Xiantian weapon and this arcane realm stone, is your treasure trading hall selling them for 1,000 martial emperor pills?" But Vice Leader Zhang could only feel as if someone had just given him a huge slap on his face. 1,000 martial emperor pills? Treasures worth a few tens of thousands of martial emperor pills. Buying them with 1,000 martial emperor pills was considered bullying. Treasures worth a few tens of millions of martial emperor pills. It would be a disgrace if he were to sell them for 1,000 martial emperor pills. What is it? You can't afford them? You don't have enough money? Qin Nan said again. But Vice Leader Zhang could only feel another slap to his face, as his figure was knocked 3 steps backward. The reason being that he indeed could not afford them. Embarrassing, Qin Nan said in a cold tone, before he took all the Xiantian weapons and arcane realm stones away. After being troubled by Vice Leader Zhang and the others, he no longer had any interest in the matter. Not only that, he also sensed something strange, thus he had to go to Old Shan's place as soon as possible to find out the truth. Everyone at the scene stared at Qin Nan's departing figure in utter silence. Some of the more timid disciples even had pale faces. This is Qin Nan. With a single sentence, Zhou Yang and the other 9 geniuses dropped to their knees. Even with Vice Leader Zhang's arrival, he was able to turn the tide and suppress Vice Leader Zhang with his shocking wealth. Facing such a terrifying existence, was he really afraid of Ling Feng? With a flicker, Qin Nan arrived at the 3rd courtyard. Baidu search AI Go Xiaosei www.aichux. When the Longhu demon ancestor saw him, he was stunned. He jumped up in exasperation and said, "Qin Nan, didn't you say you were going to roam the continent? You actually want me to stay in this small courtyard?" Not only that, in just half an hour, there were at least 30 divine senses peeking in. The Longhu ancestor beast felt like vomiting blood as he recalled what had just happened. Originally, when it was with Princess Miao Miao, it could enjoy the 2 of them in peace. Who knew that there would be so many people spying on them, ruining the romantic atmosphere? More than 30 divine senses? Qin Nan let out a hollow laugh and said, "Longhu ancestor beast, do you think this place is too boring? I can tell you now, you should be prepared to turn the entire sect upside down." Turn the entire sect upside down? The anger of the Longhu ancestor beast instantly vanished, replaced by an excited expression. What an awesome statement, turning the entire sect upside down. How imperious was that? What's wrong? What happened? Princess Miao Miao's figure came out from the house and said in an indifferent tone, "Qin Nan, you should remember that the Xianling clan is only a small place. Why are you causing such a huge commotion? It's only a waste of time. We should head to the 2 sacred areas as soon as possible." Baidu search AI Xiaosei www.aichux.com. Yes. You're absolutely right. You're simply witty and eloquent. The Longhu ancestor beast shamelessly betrayed Qin Nan in the blink of an eye, with a flattering look on his face. The incident this time is nothing ordinary. Don't worry, it won't take long for it to be settled. Qin Nan took a deep breath. He had promised Xiao Qingxue to lower his head and admit his defeat to Ling Feng, thus he did not want to cause any unnecessary trouble. However, who would have thought that he would be pressured so much in just a single day since he had arrived? Without a doubt, the culprit was none other than Ouyang Jun. However, everyone knew that he was the disciple of the Great Elder, the disciple of the Honorable Elder. His status was on par with Ouyang Jun's. Why would Vice Leader Zhang and the others dare to target him? Not to mention that Zhou Yang dared to attack him on the spot, trying to cripple him. All these indicated that some unknown changes had taken place in the Xianling clan, causing Ouyang Jun's arrogance to skyrocket. I'm afraid that Xiao Qingxue must have learned something when she asked me to surrender. Qin Nan mumbled to himself and pondered for a moment. He then proceeded to search for Gong Yang without hesitation. Gong Yang surely knew something about the current situation. However, before he could make his move, a hurried voice could be heard all of a sudden. Qin Nan, open the door to the third residence at once. I'm Gong Yang, and I have something important to tell you. Princess Miao Miao had already set up a forbidding aura at the entrance of the third residence to prevent anyone from disturbing it. Qin Nan asked Duke Miao Miao to open the door. The door was immediately opened, and a few figures dashed into the residence. Apart from Gong Yang, there were also Xiao Ling, Chu Yun, Huang Long, Mo Zishan, and Su Yu. Their eyes were filled with astonishment, which had yet to dissipate. Their faces were extremely pale, as if they had yet to recover from a serious injury. Hey, what's wrong with you guys? The Longhu ancestor beast raised his head, and was about to find an excuse to teach them a lesson. He loved to teach them a lesson. This is, Gong Yang and the others were startled. Some of my friends. Qin Nan gave the Longhu ancestor beast a glance, before glancing at Gong Yang and the others and saying with a smile, "What's wrong? What's going on today? Don't panic, I'm here." Gong Yang and the others were startled. I'm here. These were only 4 words, but when they fell into their ears, it was like a warm current that cleansed their bodies and stabilized their emotions. Apart from Gong Yang, Xiao Ling, Chu Yun, Huang Long, Mo Zishan, and Su Yu wore complicated expressions. Previously, when Qin Nan admitted his defeat, they were doubtful and disheartened. However, now, Qin Nan did not ask any questions, nor did he say anything. He only calmly said, "I'm here." Qin Nan, we're sorry, Xiao Ling, Chu Yun, and the others spoke in a bitter tone amidst the warmth. Gong Yang also took a deep breath and said, "I also want to apologize to you." Why? Qin Nan was left speechless. Why did you guys come to my residence in such a grand manner and apologize to me for no reason? Back then, when you admitted defeat to Ling Feng, none of us believed you. However, today we finally understand that it wasn't because you were afraid or cowering. It's just that the reality is far too cruel. Even you have no choice but to lower your head. Xiaoling, Chu Yun, and the others said. Qin Nan's eyes glistened. He had admitted his defeat at Xiao Qingshue's request. He did not expose the truth, as he said. What exactly happened? Gong Yang wore a stern expression as he took 3 deep breaths and said, "In the past month, something has been going on in the Xianling clan, resulting in a strange atmosphere. I've been investigating it since then, and we've just received a piece of news." After saying this, Gong Yang paused for a moment before continuing. The clan leader of the Xianling clan is currently undergoing his tribulation in a mystical ground, preparing to rank up to the martial dominator realm. The last 2 words served as a great explosion. Chapter 225. Genius 1 second. Remember love to go, Xiao? Shua Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Martial Dominator, a martial dominator. There was not a single martial dominator realm expert in the top 4 sects. Once one became a martial dominator, one would possess the strength to roam freely in the lower district. That being said, it was extremely difficult to become a martial dominator, as one's martial spirit had to be at least 10th grade Huang rank. Even if one's martial spirit had reached the Xian ranked, one would still need various fortunate encounters and the protection of countless people in order to reach that level. At least in the Luaha kingdom, there had not been a single martial dominator realm expert in the past 100 years. When Gong Yang, Xiaolong, and the others heard the news, they finally understood why someone as prideful as Qin Nan would choose to surrender. As everyone knew, the sect leader of the Xianling clan had a bad relationship with the Great Elder. If the sect leader of the Xianling clan were to successfully rank up to the martial dominator realm, he would surely dominate the place when he returned to the sect. Baidu search love Gago, Xiao 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 Xiao. If Qin Nan were to challenge Ling Feng again, regardless of the outcome, his relationship with Qin Nan would deteriorate, resulting in a great blow to his reputation. When that happened, neither the Great Elder nor the Honorable Elder would be able to protect Qin Nan. Ouch! At that instant, the Longhu ancestor beast let out a weird cry with an exaggerated expression. Someone in such a trashy sect is able to rank up to the martial dominator realm? Impressive, very impressive, I've learned something new. The Longhu ancestor beast could no longer keep up his act, as he was utterly disgusted by himself. He then rolled his eyes and humphed. He initially thought that something serious was about to happen, but it turned out that it was only someone ranking up to the martial dominator realm. It was not even certain if he could rank up to the martial dominator realm. Gong Yang and the others were astounded. They did not expect this unfamiliar young man with 2 bumps on his forehead to have such an attitude, as if he was disdainful of the martial dominator realm. Baidu search love to go, Xiao 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 Xiao. Becoming a martial emperor? Qin Nan's eyes glistened. He finally understood why Xiao Qingxue had asked him to surrender in the past, and why Ouyang Jun had become so scornful recently. It was all because the patriarch of the Xianling clan was currently undergoing his tribulation to rank up to the martial dominator realm. Qin Nan, I'm afraid you don't know how powerful a martial emperor is. In the history of our Xianling clan, other than the current clan leader, there was only one martial emperor 100 years ago. Gong Yang glanced at the Longhu ancestor beast and said in a dull tone, "That senior killed 3 martial ancestor realm great elders of the Flying Sword sect in just 60 breaths' time after becoming a martial dominator." 60 breaths? Qin Nan's expression brightened. Indeed, he did not know how strong a martial emperor was. However, Gong Yang's words made him realize how tyrannical a martial emperor was. Killing 3 martial ancestor realm great elders in 60 breaths' time after becoming a martial emperor? The Longhu ancestor beast glanced at Qin Nan in astonishment. Such a powerful person existed in your trashy sect? An ordinary martial dominator would not be able to match his strength. That's right, but that senior disappeared after massacring the Flying Sword sect. It was said that he went to the lower district more than 100 years ago, and there was no news about him until now. According to some of the experienced elders of our sect, that senior most likely died in the lower district, Gong Yang instinctively exclaimed, but he soon collected his thoughts and glared at the Longhu ancestor beast. Now was not the time for nonsense. He then glanced at Qin Nan and said, "Although it is extremely difficult to rank up to the martial dominator realm, once the patriarch succeeds, it will be a great disaster. Therefore, you should leave the sect as soon as possible. Otherwise, according to Ouyang Jun's personality, he will not forgive you. Therefore, we hope that you—" Gong Yang hesitated for a moment, before saying in a serious tone, "Leave the sect." Meanwhile, at the first residence of the Inner Domain Peak, Li Hong received a letter from a disciple and opened it. Her eyes widened and her expression changed tremendously. "What's wrong?" A sinister grin appeared on Ouyang Jun's face as he said, "This Qin Nan must have embarrassed himself and been robbed clean, right? This is what he gets for messing with me." Xiao Qingxue's eyes were filled with a hint of nervousness. Li Hong ignored Ouyang Jun's words, and after taking a deep breath, she said, "Qin Nan encountered Zhou Yang and his crew, and with a single roar, they all dropped to their knees. Now they have completely lost their minds." "What?" Ouyang Jun's voice turned extremely sharp. Zhou Yang is a 7th-layer Xiantian realm super genius, with 9 6th-layer Xiantian realm cultivators. How could they be defeated by Qin Nan with a single sentence? How long has this piece of trash Qin Nan left the sect? How could he suppress 7th-layer Xiantian realm cultivators from the 2nd-layer Xiantian realm? Li Hong glimpsed at him, and continued to say in a shocking tone, not only that, Qin Nan was troubled by Hall leader Zhang, who took out 5 Xiantian weapons and 540 arcane realm stones at once. Thump! Ouyang Jun's figure shuddered violently as the aura within his body exploded, causing the ground to tremble violently. Even though he was the son of the sect leader, he was utterly astonished at that instant. 5 Xiantian weapons and 540 arcane realm stones. Are you ***king kidding me? Xiao Qingshue's attractive face was filled with astonishment too. Damn it, this Qin Nan must have found the treasure at the Longhu mountain range. Ouyang Jun took a while to collect his thoughts, as he cursed in a flustered manner. The 4 sects were aware of the rare occurrence at the Longhu mountain range. However, as the Longhu ancestor beast was guarding the Longhu mountain range, the 4 sects did not dare to make any reckless moves, and chose to observe the situation quietly. However, after witnessing the miserable state of the 4 great clans, they completely gave up on the thought. Qin Nan had just returned to his clan after completing a mission, and happened to be somewhere close to the Longhu mountain range. In less than a month's time, Qin Nan possessed such a powerful strength and such a shocking amount of wealth. There was only one explanation. Qin Nan had found a fortunate encounter at the Longhu mountain range. How nice of this Qin Nan! A shocking murderous intent burst out from Ouyang Jun's body as he said, "It seems like he will be the first person I kill after I rank up to the martial emperor realm." Even though he was the son of the sect leader, he could not remain calm after seeing the wealth on Qin Nan's body, as the greed in his heart was thoroughly aroused. Not to mention that this Qin Nan also possessed the secrets of the martial serendipity pavilion, which made him a living treasure vault. Therefore, without hesitation, Ouyang Jun decided to make his move on Qin Nan. Ouyang Jun! Xiao Qingshue's expression changed tremendously. If you dare to harm him, I'd rather die than marry you. Ouyang Jun turned his head around and snapped, "Bitch, stop threatening me. You're the reason why I need you. If I don't need you, you're just a piece of trash that I can discard at any time." After saying this, Ouyang Jun's aura burst out with a tremendous murderous intent. "Let's go. Let's head to the 3rd residence." Chapter 226. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? Shua Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Hold it right there. Li Hong's expression changed as she snapped, "Ouyang Jun, your father is only trying to rank up to the martial dominator realm. If you were to challenge Qin Nan now, you would surely be suppressed by the Great Elder and the Honorable Elder." This, Li Hong's words served as a bucket of cold water being poured onto Ouyang Jun's head, waking him up from his thoughts. "I've forgotten about that." Ouyang Jun withdrew his murderous aura and said with a dark expression, "However, I can't let Qin Nan get away with it. Since I can't show myself, I'll ask the geniuses of the Jun Alliance to do it. If Qin Nan knows his place, I'll spare his life. If he doesn't, I'll ask the geniuses of the Jun Alliance to duel him at the Hall of Life and Death. I'm sure they will be able to torture him to death." Li Hong's expression turned calm as she said, "It's fine as long as you don't interfere." After hearing this, Xiao Qingshue's delicate face was filled with a hint of sadness and struggle. In the 3rd residence, the expression on Qin Nan's face gradually disappeared as he said in a slow tone, "You guys want me to run away?" You can't say that he escaped. Gong Yang let out a wry smile in his heart, but there was no other choice under the circumstances. He then clenched his teeth and said, Now that the clan leader is trying to rank up to the martial dominator realm, although I'm not sure if he will succeed, you should leave the Xianling clan for now as a safety precaution. If the clan leader fails to rank up to the martial dominator realm, you can come back here. Qin Nan, don't think it's embarrassing. A real man knows when to yield. Xiaoling, Chu Yun, and the others spoke too. We all know that you're proud and fearless, and you've never lowered your head before. However, it's different this time. It's only temporary for you to leave. As the saying goes, if you endure for a while, everything will be calm. If you take a step back, everything will be fine. This was the reason why Gong Yang and the others were here. They hoped that Qin Nan would leave the Xianling clan and hide for a while, then observe the situation and make a decision based on the situation. This was the only way to ensure Qin Nan's safety. Qin Nan's heart was filled with warmth after hearing this. He knew that Gong Yang and the others were worried about his safety. There's one thing I didn't tell you back then. Qin Nan did not answer their question directly. He said, "Back then, I chose to admit defeat because someone asked me to do so. Her kindness to me is as heavy as a mountain, so I couldn't refuse." Gong Yang and the others were shocked. They had originally thought that Qin Nan had chosen to admit defeat because he had heard the news. They had never thought that it was to repay the favor. They were not stupid. They soon guessed that the person was most likely Xiao Qingxue. Gong Yang exhaled deeply, and said with a stern expression, "Qin Nan, I understand what you're trying to say. You're trying to tell us that you've never backed down. However, this time, it's different. Now that the clan leader has yet to level up to the martial dominator realm, some people are already acting so scornfully. Once they level up, it will be a disaster for those who disobey them, especially you. Therefore, this time, you have to leave the Xianling clan. If you're not willing to do so, I'm begging you. Please leave the Xianling clan for the sake of our friendship." For the first time, Gong Yang's eyes were filled with a hint of pleading. "Qin Nan, we're begging you too. Please leave the Xianling clan." Xiaoling, Chu Yun, Huang Long, Mo Zishan, and Su Yu all spoke in a dull tone without hesitation. Qin Nan's heart shuddered. He had not expected Gong Yang and the others to make such a request. Apart from feeling touched, he could not help but let out a wry smile in his heart. What should I do now? Reject the request of my friends? As a matter of fact, Qin Nan did not have the slightest hint of fear in his heart. Whether the clan leader of the Xianling clan succeeded in leveling up or failed, what did it have to do with him? His life would be like a boat sailing against the current. Even if he were to be involved in a terrifying situation, he would remain calm. Even if he were to face millions of enemies, he would not put down the saber in his hand. In Qin Nan's opinion, leaving the Xianling clan because the clan leader had leveled up to the martial dominator realm was the same as a homeless dog or a tortoise hiding in its shell. It would be a great humiliation to everyone. However, how could he reject their request? After seeing this, Princess Miao Miao and the Longhu ancestor beast glanced at Qin Nan with great interest. They were eager to know what decision this guy, who had just merged with a godly object, would make. As the atmosphere of the third residence was extremely tense, the purple dragon's scarlet fang badge on Qin Nan's waist buzzed and emitted a bright red glow. "This is," Qin Nan was shocked. The others glanced toward him too. The scarlet fang badge of the purple dragon's scarlet fang badge suddenly emitted countless red light dots, which danced in the air and gradually formed an old man's figure. The illusionary figure was none other than Old Shan. As soon as Old Shan appeared, his eyes immediately glanced toward Qin Nan and said in a stern tone, "Qin Nan, the situation is too serious. It's not a joke. Leave the Xianling clan at once, the further the better. Remember, this is not a request but an order. You must leave at once. From now onward, in the name of the Great Elder, I will remove your identity as a disciple. From today onward, you are no longer a disciple of the Xianling clan." Old Shan. Qin Nan was shocked. He did not expect Old Shan to expel him from the Xianling clan just to make him leave. Old Shan stared at him and let out a sigh before he said with an aged voice, "Kid, you are the most talented disciple I've ever met, and you are also filled with an invisible charm, able to create miracles time and time again. Even if there's only a 1% chance, I will not let you take the risk. Therefore, leave now and come back when you are stronger. Remember my words, as long as you're alive." After saying this, Old Shan's figure vanished into thin air. The entire third residence was immersed in a great silence, as if it had fallen into a dead silence. Even Gong Yang and the others did not expect Old Shan to do this. At the same time, they could tell from Old Shan's tone that the situation was getting worse, which made them even more determined. "Qin Nan," Gong Yang said in a dull tone, "don't blame Old Shan, he did it for your own good. Just like what Old Shan said, with your outstanding talent, your future is not in the tiny Xianling clan. With the internal strife of the Xianling clan, even if a martial dominator was able to defeat the four sects, what about the future? If the people's hearts are not united, the moon will be lacking. As for you, a golden carp is not a fish in a pond. How can a sparrow know the ambition of a swan? Asking you to leave the Xianling clan is only a temporary measure of patience. This is how the martial world works." Xiaolong and the others who were standing behind Gong Yang nodded their heads heavily. After seeing this, Qin Nan's heart gradually sank. Now that Old Shan had expelled him from the Xianling clan, he had to leave, and Gong Yang and his friends were all asking him to leave too. What should he choose? Should he choose to leave with his tail between his legs, or should he go against Old Shan and Gong Yang's wishes and stay here? As Qin Nan was about to speak, a rare occurrence took place at that instant. A loud noise could be heard coming from the outside, as several powerful auras were emitted from the inner domain peak, followed by a thunderous roar that penetrated the sky. "Qin Nan, get your ass out here!" Chapter 227. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? Sagnet, providing you with interesting novels to read. At that instant, the entire inner domain peak was startled by the shocking roar, as countless disciples and elders came out to check the situation. On the main path of the inner domain peak, over 20 disciples were approaching the scene. Each of their steps was filled with a tremendous amount of qi, indicating that their cultivations were not lower than the 6th layer Xiantian realm. A series of gasps could be heard. This was because the surrounding elders and disciples all knew who these disciples were. Each of them was a famous genius of the inner domain, and their martial spirits were at least 8th grade Huang ranked. When the elders and disciples saw the two people leading the group, their expressions changed tremendously. "Isn't that Pringyu? He's here too. Isn't that the son of the disciplinary hall leader, Zhou Gili? Why is he here too? Kami, aren't these people from the June Alliance? Are they here to trouble Qin Nan?" These elders and disciples quickly guessed the crux of the matter, and they became excited. Love go little say, the conflict between Qin Nan and the June Alliance was well known to the crowd, but there had never been a huge conflict between them. Now, the war had finally broken out. How would Qin Nan deal with it this time? Meanwhile, at the third residence, Qin Nan, Gong Yang, and the others were startled after hearing the sudden roar. The expressions of Gong Yang and the others changed abruptly. They did not expect that someone would come knocking at their door at this time. "We'll talk about it later. Let's see who's here first," Qin Nan said with a calm expression. Gong Yang and the others let out wry smiles after seeing this. If it weren't for the incident, Qin Nan would most likely agree to their request. However, it seemed like there would be some changes to the situation now. Now that the situation is urgent, I have to settle it as soon as possible. I can't let Qin Nan stay in the Xianling clan any longer. A thought flashed across Gong Yang's mind, as he swiftly rose from his seat and opened the door of the third residence, before glancing outside. With a glimpse, not only Gong Yang, but also Xiao Lung and the others were startled. Baidu search AI Go Xiaosei, www.aichux.com. What are you guys planning to do with so many people? Gong Yang's expression darkened, as his martial emperor realm suppression was emitted toward the surroundings. Yo, so it's senior brother Gong Yang. I didn't expect you to be at the third residence too. Among the two young men leading the group, one of them was wearing a pink robe, with a pale face and a slightly seductive aura. He ignored the suppression from Gong Yang and said with a smile, "There are quite a lot of people here. Let me introduce myself. I'm Zhou Geely. Greetings to everyone." Xiaolong and Chu Yun shuddered violently. Zhou Geely's name was extremely familiar to them, as he was the son of the disciplinary hall leader, who was also one of the top 10 super geniuses of the inner domain. However, they had never had the chance to meet him. "I'm Pringyu, nice to meet you, senior brother Gong Yang." The other Pringyu with a cold expression brought his fists together without showing any respect. Love Go Little Saith Kahuang Long, Emozishan, Su Yu, and the others were astounded. They were quite familiar with this Pringyu, who was ranked third among the inner domain geniuses. He was supposed to stay at the third residence, but as Qin Nan had challenged the martial serendipity pavilion, the third residence was given to Qin Nan by the sect. When Pringyu learned about this, he had mentioned in private that if Lung Feng had not challenged Qin Nan to a duel, he would have challenged him too. "I don't care who you two are, but why did you bring so many people here?" Gong Yang's eyes emitted a sharp glow as he said, "You can all leave now, and I'll pretend that nothing happened here." Zhou Geely and Pringyu's eyes glistened. They had brought over 20 disciples here to trouble Qin Nan, but they did not expect Gong Yang to be among them. At that instant, a burst of loud laughter could be heard from afar, which shook the heavens and earth. "Ha ha, Junior Gong Yang, it's been a while. You're still as impressive as ever." Shush! A figure streaked across the sky and descended from the sky. The newcomer was wearing a golden robe with dragons and phoenixes entwined around the robe. There was also a huge golden sword on his back. A pair of small eyes seemed to be constantly flashing with green light. It was incomparably gloomy. It formed an extremely clear contrast with his gorgeous clothes. "Zhang Qian." Gong Yang's expression changed instantly. The disciples and elders surrounding the inner domain peak were left speechless after hearing the name. "Even Zhang Qian is here? Oh my God, he is ranked second among the inner disciples. Since when did he join the June Alliance? Oh my, so many inner disciples and inner domain geniuses are here. This is going to be interesting." As soon as Zhang Qian appeared, the crowd realized something after recovering from the initial shock. Things were getting out of hand this time. The June Alliance was here with evil intentions. "Greetings, senior brother Zhang Qian." Pringyu and Zhou Geely withdrew their expressions and brought their fists together in a respectful manner. Their attitude toward Gong Yang was completely different from their previous attitude toward him. Zhang Qian responded with a who stood in midair and glanced downward at Gong Yang and his crew. "Gong Yang, I'm here to look for Qin Nan. This has nothing to do with you. Leave at once." As soon as these words were spoken, the atmosphere instantly froze. With Zhang Qian leading the way, Pringyu, Zhou Geely, and over 20 disciples locked their gazes onto the third residence. Vaguely, it felt like a battle intent was being emitted. On the other side, with Gong Yang leading the way, Xiao Ling, Chu Yun, and the others wore unpleasant expressions on their faces. As for Princess Miao Miao and the Longhu ancestor beast, they were not interested in the scene. They remained in their residences and observed the situation in silence. At the center of the storm, Qin Nan's eyes were filled with a spark when he saw the ferocious group of geniuses charging toward him, which grew stronger and stronger like a single spark setting a prairie on fire. Gong Yang clenched his fists tightly and said with a stern expression, "Zhang Qian, there is no conflict between you and Qin Nan. Why are you troubling him today? Qin Nan is my brother. I hope you can give me some face today. Peng Yu, Zhou Gili, and the rest of you, if you let this go, I, Gong Yang, will owe you all a favor." At that instant, Gong Yang realized that Zhang Qian, Peng Yu, Zhou Gili, and the rest were most likely under Ouyang Jun's orders. As such, he had to stop them at all costs. To his surprise, Zhang Qian let out a hollow laugh and said, "Gong Yang, I'll give you some face today, but your brother Qin Nan must accept the request of the Jun Alliance. Otherwise, I'll kill him even if it's you." Peng Yu and Zhou Gili both let out a cold laugh, filled with murderous intent. The atmosphere of the place intensified. Chapter 228. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? Here's an interesting novel for you to read. Meanwhile, due to the presence of Zhang Qian and his crew, as well as the support of the Jun Alliance, more elders and disciples were on their way to the inner domain peak. Even the outer disciples and elders had arrived at the inner domain peak. In just half the period it took an incense to burn, over 600 people had gathered at the outer domain peak, resulting in a huge crowd. A request from the Jun Alliance? What kind of request does the Jun Alliance have? Gong Yang withheld his anger. Normally, he would not tolerate Zhang Qian's scornful attitude even if his cultivation was weaker than Zhang Qian's. However, today, he had to ensure that Qin Nan was able to leave the Xianling clan safely, to stay away from the crowd and save his own life. The request is simple. Qin Nan has injured 10 disciples of the Jun Alliance. You only need to hand over all his pills. Zhang Qian let out a hollow laugh. Peng Yu and Zhou Gili behind him were not as calm as Zhang Qian, as their eyes flickered with a fiery passion. The elders were stunned. Was the Jun Alliance here to seek compensation for the sake of their 10 disciples? Gong Yang and his crew were startled too, before they relaxed their eyebrows and said, "I see, I'll pay the compensation then." Love go little say, W Chu, not only Gong Yang, everyone assumed that Qin Nan did not have much wealth on him. In other words, the request of the Jun Alliance was extremely simple. "You'll pay?" Before Zhang Qian could speak, Peng Yu and Zhou Gili stepped forward and said at the same time, "Qin Nan has 5 Xiantian weapons and 540 arcane realm stones. We would like to know, senior brother Gong Yang, are you able to afford it?" The words served as a shocking explosion. Everyone present doubted if they had heard wrongly. 5 Xiantian weapons? 540 arcane realm stones? If this were to be converted into martial emperor pills, it would be a few tens of millions of martial emperor pills, a terrifying fortune. What? Gong Yang's heart trembled. Of course, he knew that the Jun Alliance was not joking when they made such a big fuss. Nan actually obtained such a terrifying amount of wealth when he went out to carry out this mission? Qin Nan, Yu Gong Yang, Shaoling, and the others all looked at Qin Nan. Qin Nan let out a cough and said while nodding his head, "I didn't have the time to tell you this. The 5 Xiantian weapons and these 540 arcane realm stones are indeed mine." Everyone at the scene reacted in astonishment and took a deep breath at the same time, as their figures shuddered violently. In their minds, they were imagining the scene of 5 Xiantian weapons and 540 arcane realm stones appearing at the same time. They even imagined the scene of a few million martial emperor pills stacked together. Just the thought alone was enough to cause their blood to race and their hearts to beat rapidly. At that instant, they finally understood why the June Alliance was so intimidating. Not only the June Alliance, even the elders of the inner disciples and the hall leaders were unable to remain calm after witnessing the battle. This asshole, did he stumble into a fortunate encounter at the Longhu mountain range during his 1 month away? Gong Yang cursed in his heart, but a calm smile appeared on his face, filled with a sense of relief. He had no concept of wealth, but he knew that his brother Qin Nan had become even more powerful. Zhang Qian and you guys, I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you. Gong Yang swiftly calmed his thoughts and said without mercy, the great elder has given the order that Qin Nan is no longer a disciple of the Xianling clan. Besides, I can tell you that the Honorable Elder is currently at the third residence. She is going to bring Qin Nan away from the Xianling clan. With these words, he managed to get rid of the concern of Qin Nan, and even mentioned the Honorable Elder. As expected, Zhang Qian, Peng Yu, and Zhou Gili's expressions changed tremendously, as they instinctively glanced toward the third residence. In addition to them, every disciple and elder at the scene glanced toward the third residence with a hint of fear. That's the Honorable Elder. Apart from her cultivation of the martial ancestor realm, she was extremely imperious. It was said that regardless of whether one had offended her or not, if one were to stumble into her, he or she would rob all of his or her possessions. If one did not cooperate during the robbery, he or she would beat the crap out of him or her. Compared to the reputation of the great elder, the Honorable Elder was infamous. Damn it, who would have thought that the great elder would strip Qin Nan of his identity as a disciple, and the Honorable Elder is here too. Zhang Qian, Peng Yu, and Zhou Gili's faces turned incredibly dark. It seemed like the Honorable Elder was planning to flee with Qin Nan. If that was the case, the wealth worth over 10 million would be gone from their hand. That's not right. According to the rumors, Qin Nan is extremely loyal. Even if we can't deal with Qin Nan now, we can still target the three close to him. Zhang Qian's eyes flickered as he came up with a vicious plan, who immediately transmitted his divine sense into Peng Yu and Zhou Gili's minds. Peng Yu and Zhou Gili's expressions changed slightly, as their eyebrows gradually relaxed, as they came to a realization. Haha, junior brother Qin Nan, I did not expect you to leave the Xianling clan. What a pity. Zhang Qian suddenly burst out laughing, grabbing the attention of the crowd. His gaze landed onto Qin Nan's figure as he licked his lips and said, I'm really impressed by your decision, running away on your own, and letting your friend bear the consequences for you. Qin Nan had remained silent throughout the incident, but after hearing the words, he raised his eyebrows slightly. Zhang Qian, what do you think you're doing? Gong Yang snapped. Gong Yang, cut the crap. As an inner disciple of the Xianling clan, I challenge you to a duel at the Hall of Life and Death. Zhang Qian's body emitted a tremendous murderous intent. You! Gong Yang's expression changed. He did not expect this Zhang Qian to challenge him on the spot. You can reject my challenge, but from today onward, whenever I have the chance, I'll hunt you down endlessly. Zhang Qian let out a hollow laugh and said, Let me give you a piece of advice. You better stay in the Xianling clan forever, or else you will die. Before Gong Yang could speak, Zhou Gili suddenly stepped forward and uttered a thunderous roar. Shaoling, Chu Yun, from today onward, you two will be stripped of your identities as disciples of the disciplinary hall. Furthermore, you two have openly violated the rules of the sect with the intention to rebel and betray the sect. According to the law, you two will be imprisoned for 100 years. Zhou Gili glanced at Huang Long and the others with a murderous look. And you guys, you are all accomplices and should be imprisoned for 50 years. While being imprisoned, you will be interrogated by the Xianling clan, and Peng Yu will be the judge. Peng Yu then stepped forward and glanced at the crowd, as he licked his lips with a hideous expression. Chapter 229. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The crowd stared with their eyes open wide and their faces filled with astonishment. No one had expected this Zhou Gili to accuse Xiaoling, Chuyun, and the others of betraying the sect in such a short time. How significant was it to betray the sect? Regardless of the sect, anyone who violated the rules would be hunted down by the entire sect. This Zhou Gili wanted Xiaoling, Chuyun, and the others dead. You! Gong Yang, Xiaoling, Chuyun, and the others trembled in anger. Betraying the sect? This was the biggest joke in the world. Zhang Qian could not help but burst out laughing after seeing this. He then glanced at Qin Nan and said, "Qin Nan, did you see that? Even though you have left the sect, the June Alliance still has countless ways to deal with your friends, not letting any of them go. You have to remember that the reason these people ended up like this is all because of you." Qin Nan squinted his eyes. It felt like a raging flame was about to burst out from his eyes at that instant. "Qin Nan, we're fine. Don't listen to his nonsense." Gong Yang, Xiaoling, Chuyun, and the others immediately collected their thoughts and wore determined expressions. They clearly knew that Zhang Qian, Zhou Gili, and the others were trying to force Qin Nan to submit. However, before they could finish, Zhou Gili uttered a roar. "Peng Yu, the people who betrayed the sect are right in front of us. If we don't make our move now, when are we going to detain them?" "Roger." Peng Yu was the first to react. His 8th layer Xiantian realm aura was unleashed as he walked toward Xiaolong, Chuyun, and the others. "How bold!" Gong Yang instantly became enraged. "Gong Yang, your opponent is me. I'm curious to know if your strength has improved." Zhang Qian's tiny eyes emitted a sinister glow as his aura rose rapidly, as if a great battle was about to take place. The crowd of elders and disciples held their breaths, not willing to miss anything. However, at that instant, a thunderous laugh echoed in the entire inner domain peak. "Ha ha 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 ha!" Everyone was stunned. Zhang Qian, Zhou Gili, Gong Yang, and the others could not help but turn their heads toward the source of the laughter. The one laughing was none other than Qin Nan. "Qin Nan, what are you laughing at?" Zhang Qian's expression sank. Could it be that this Qin Nan was still not willing to submit to them after they had used such a trick? Or was the truth different from the rumors, and this Qin Nan did not care about his friends at all? "Why are you asking me?" The smile on Qin Nan's face became even more disdainful. "I'm laughing at myself, laughing for myself, because I have a bunch of good friends around me. At the same time, I'm laughing at myself, laughing at the fact that I only understood one thing now." The appearance of the left eye of the divine god of battle had taught Qin Nan one thing. He was not wrong in his decision. Everything he did for his friends was worth it. However, when he was faced with the request from Gong Yang and the others, and old Shan's order, he was slightly shaken. It was true that he was fearless. Even if the clan leader of the Xianling clan became a martial dominator or not, he had never considered the possibility. As long as his enemies were in front of him, he would fight without lowering his head or bending his back. The divine god of battle would never back off. However, when his group of friends wanted him to leave, what was he going to do? He was still fighting according to his own personality and his own soul, turning the world upside down. Or should he give up his pride for the sake of his friends? Qin Nan struggled and struggled. His mind was in a mess, unable to make a decision. Therefore, when Zhang Qian, Peng Yu, Zhou Gili, and the others arrived, he did not say anything, but stood aside and watched the battle between them and Gong Yang. However, when he saw the disciplinary hall leader Zhou Gili suddenly sentencing Xiao Lung and the others, and when Zhang Qian challenged Gong Yang to a duel, he came to a realization. Gong Yang, Xiao Lung, Chu Yun, Huang Long, Mo Zishan, Su Yu, and the others rushed here in a hurry for his safety, and even begged him to leave. For his sake, old Shan did not hesitate to remove his identity as a disciple and gave the order. If he were to leave just like that for the sake of his friends, what would that make him? As Zhang Qian had mentioned, if he were to betray the pride of the divine god of battle and leave the Xianling clan for the sake of his friends, not only would he be hurting himself and the divine battle spirit, he would be hurting his friends too. If he were to leave, Gong Yang, Xiao Lung, Chu Yun, and the others would still be in the Xianling clan, and would suffer the wrath of the Jun alliance. Even if Gong Yang, Xiao Lung, and the others were to leave the Xianling clan, they would not be able to escape the wrath of the Xianling clan. If that's the case, this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Then we might as well advance or retreat together. Only by going through life and death battles together could we be friends and brothers. Now that the clan leader of the Xianling clan has leveled up to the martial dominator realm, the Jun Alliance's confidence is boosted. If the clan leader were to level up to the martial dominator realm, not only Old Shan, but also Gong Yang and the others would not be able to escape from the wrath of the Jun Alliance. My divine battle spirit fights against the heavens and earth. There's nothing I won't fight against, and nothing I won't win against. If that's the case, I should hold the saber in my hand and fight my way to the top, slaying all my enemies one by one, slaying anyone who dares to harm my friends. At that instant, all the troubles Qin Nan had vanished into thin air, as his thoughts became clearer. His gaze then glanced toward Gong Yang and the others. Gong Yang and the others raised their heads and glanced toward Qin Nan, as if they were aware of his gaze. I'm sorry, as I'm going to disappoint your kind intentions. Regardless of the danger ahead, or the destruction of the heavens and the earth, I'm just a single person, and I shouldn't care about my own safety. I have a pair of legs, and so do you. I have a saber in my hand, and so do you. If you want to leave, let's leave together. If you want to stay, if you want to resist, let's fight together. Qin Nan stared at them with a serious expression, his eyes clear and filled with a firm determination. Gong Yang and the others could feel their hearts shuddering, and their noses tingling. For some reason, even though Qin Nan had disobeyed their wishes, they were so touched that they felt like crying. Zhang Qian and the others could not understand what was going on, as they were utterly confused. They immediately snapped in an unpleasant tone, "What the hell are you talking about? Qin Nan, either you hand it over, or they will all take the punishment for you." However, before he could finish the word punishment, under the gazes of Zhang Qian, Peng Yu, Zhou Gili, and the rest of the geniuses, under the gazes of over 600 inner domain elders, inner domain disciples, outer domain elders, and outer domain disciples, Qin Nan's hair danced wildly as a boundless battle intent was emitted from his body, as he uttered a roar, "Scum of the Jun Alliance, you've been bullying me time and time again, and even used your authority to harm my friends. Today, I swear in the name of the divine god of battle, even if my chi is depleted, even if my body is shattered into pieces, I will slay you all with the 3-foot-long saber in my hand." Bang! It was as if the entire Xianling clan was trembling at that instant, as if a peerless dragon residing at the bottom of the ocean had finally opened its eyes after a long slumber, and sprang into the sky before the crowd, breaking through the surface of the ocean and uttering a roar. Chapter 230. Geniuses Remembering Love in 1 Second? Shua Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. The crowd could only feel their ears buzzing, as their minds were filled with explosions. Zhang Qian, Peng Yu, Zhou Gili, and the rest of the geniuses wore blank expressions on their faces. They did not expect Qin Nan to erupt all of a sudden and challenge the entire June alliance. Currently, in the Xianling clan, most of the people were aware that the Xianling clan was planning to rank up to the martial dominator realm. Even though the martial dominator realm had yet to succeed, everyone was still terrified. As a safety precaution, they chose to turn a blind eye to the reckless behavior of the June alliance, and did not dare to oppose them. However, Qin Nan was now challenging the entire June alliance in public. Is this guy not afraid that the sect leader would rank up to the martial dominator realm successfully? Good, what a good slaughter! Zhang Qian was the first to burst out laughing. Do you really think someone like you dares to challenge the June alliance? What gives you the right to do so? You're not even a disciple of the Xianling clan. Anyone below the martial emperor realm is free to duel at the Hall of Life and Death. Before he could finish, Qin Nan spoke once again, uttering a thunderous roar. Everyone stared with their eyes open wide. Anyone below the martial emperor realm is free to duel at the Hall of Life and Death? As everyone knew, Qin Nan's cultivation was only at the second-layer Xiantian realm a month ago. Even with a 10th-grade Huang-ranked martial spirit, it was impossible for him to defeat anyone below the martial emperor realm in a month's time, right? Ha 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 ha. Zhang Qian felt like he had just heard something ridiculous. Previously, you challenged junior brother Ling Feng to a duel, but ended up surrendering out of fear. Now, you dare to challenge me to a duel at the Hall of Life and Death. Qin Nan did not even raise his eyelids. If you defeat me, you can take all my possessions. Qin Nan. Gong Yang and the others finally reacted and yelled out. Although they had accepted the fact that Qin Nan would stay, wasn't it the same as courting death to challenge those below the martial emperor realm at the Hall of Life and Death? Qin Nan glanced at them. Gong Yang and the others were all shocked because they saw the determination in Qin Nan's eyes. They also saw the determination to win. Gong Yang and the others opened their mouths and suddenly thought, had Qin Nan ever lost before? You're the one who said it. All 500 elders and disciples are witnesses. Zhang Qian's eyes flashed. Qin Nan was now an honorary leader. With the protection of the elders and grand elders, they naturally did not dare to act rashly. But now that Qin Nan had taken the initiative to challenge them, they had nothing to worry about. Qin Nan, you chose to walk the path to hell instead of the path to heaven. Since you're so eager to die, we'll gladly oblige. Peng Yu and Zhou Gi let out hideous laugh. Although Qin Nan had forced Zhou Yang and the others to drop to their knees a while ago, with their cultivation of the 8th-layer Xiantian realm and the protection of their treasures, they could not be bothered with Qin Nan at all. Let's go to the Hall of Life and Death. Zhang Qian, Peng Yu, Zhou Gi, the geniuses, Qin Nan, Gong Yang, and the others all headed toward the Hall of Life and Death in a grand manner. As for the Longhu ancestor beast and Princess Miao Miao, they were not interested in a battle of this level. They did not even come out from their residences, as they went into seclusion to cultivate. The news of Qin Nan's declaration of annihilating the June alliance was soon spread to the entire Xianling clan like a tornado. At that instant, everyone was left in a daze. Crazy, crazy, this Qin Nan is too full of himself. He dares to say that he can defeat anyone below the martial emperor realm. It's only been a month. How much progress could he make? Even though he did have a fortunate encounter, there's no way he could improve his cultivation by 7 layers. Come, let's head to the Hall of Life and Death at once. Let's see how this Qin Nan is going to be killed. He challenged Ling Feng to a duel before surrendering. He's nothing but a coward. A love Go Shao say, Netwukuhi still dares to challenge the June alliance under such circumstances. In my opinion, he's only bluffing again. He'll soon surrender and flee for his life. After recovering from the shock, everyone, including the elders and disciples, began to look down on Qin Nan. Meanwhile, at the first residence, when Ouyang Jun heard the news, his face turned joyful as he said, "This Qin Nan is quite interesting." He challenged Ling Feng to a duel before surrendering in fear. Now, he dares to utter such nonsense. TSK, I won't allow him to surrender this time. He has to give me his wealth. At the same time, if this guy really goes to the Hall of Life and Death, tell the members of the June Alliance to cripple him. He is not to be killed before my father achieves the martial dominator realm. Beside him, Li Hong remained silent. In her opinion, the outcome of Qin Nan's duel at the Hall of Life and Death was already decided. Meanwhile, Xiao Qingshue's eyes were filled with a blank expression. Qin Nan is still Qin Nan. He's still himself, proud and unyielding. Even under such circumstances, he still has no intention of backing off. All of a sudden, she could feel her nose tingling. Previously, she was worried about Qin Nan's safety, so she asked Qin Nan to surrender. It was the worst decision she had ever made in her life. Such a pity, she had chosen to lower her head in front of the truth, instead of sticking with him. Meanwhile, at a residence at the peak of the mountain. This kid. Old Shan shook his head speechlessly and said, "He didn't listen to me at all. I asked him to leave, but he insisted on staying." It was supposed to be a furious sentence, but in the middle of it, he burst out laughing, although he had no idea why he was laughing. He's willing to sacrifice himself for his friend. He's proud, never lowering his head, never surrendering. If you ask him to leave, it'll be the same as asking him to lower his head. That won't be nice, so he chose to advance and retreat together. It'll be more in line with his pride, and it'll also be more in line with his Tao as a person, a mysterious old man said faintly in the courtyard. Old Shan raised his eyebrows in surprise and said, "Senior brother, I didn't expect you to be so familiar with this kid." After all, he was the first one to detonate the Violet Ocean full moon boulder. The mysterious old man said with an emotionless voice, "When he was at the Island of Versatility, I was there. When he was at the Outer Domain trial, I was there too. When he was at the Martial Serendipity Pavilion, I was there too. When he was at the Longhu Mountain Range, I was there too. Although I couldn't see everything about him, at least I know his personality well." The surprised expression on old Shan's face gradually disappeared as he said, "Senior brother, is he the one you're looking for? Whether he is or not, it's up to him." The mysterious old man said, "Do you remember what I said when Qin Nan challenged Ling Feng to a duel, and when he took the initiative to surrender? What did you say?" Old Shan could not recall it at that moment. "I said, when this guy returns, he will surely stir up a storm." The mysterious old man said, "If he has the guts to stir up a storm, then he is the one I'm looking for. If he doesn't, even if he has the qualifications, I can only wait for another 100 years. The person I'm looking for not only needs a martial skill talent, but also courage." "What kind of courage? If you were an ordinary person, if you were given a saber and a chance, you would dare to slay the emperor of a kingdom." Chapter 231. Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second Divided by Small? We provide you with interesting novels to read. The Hall of Life and Death. Among the 6 halls of the Xianling clan, the Hall of Life and Death was the most mysterious and powerful. According to the rumors, the hall leader of the Hall of Life and Death had reached the half-martial ancestor realm, which was only a step away from the martial ancestor realm. Even the sect leader had to treat him with respect. From afar, the Hall of Life and Death was completely crimson in color, as if there was an invisible formation being activated, giving it an intimidating appearance. Unlike usual, at that instant, 2 groups of geniuses had arrived at the entrance of the Hall of Life and Death, followed by elders and disciples, resulting in a grand scene. "Who are you guys going to battle with?" An old man sat in front of the entrance of the Hall of Life and Death. Despite facing such a grand scene, the old man did not lift his eyelids and spoke with a hoarse voice. "Greetings, Hall Leader! Greetings, Hall Leader!" At that instant, Zhang Kun, Gong Yang, and a few elders stepped forward and greeted in a respectful manner. This old man guarding the entrance was the Hall Leader of the Hall of Life and Death. "Let me ask you, who are you guys going to battle with?" the old man asked once again without lifting his eyelids. "Me." Qin Nan took a step forward and placed his hands behind him, before glancing at Zhang Kun and the others. "Anyone below the martial emperor realm is welcome. Who is going to die first?" The crowd stared with their eyes open wide. This Qin Nan was so scornful. Gong Yang and the others let out wry smiles in their hearts. Qin Nan was indeed Qin Nan, not giving any face to the others with his words. However, their hearts were filled with a hint of anticipation. Qin Nan would continue to shock them as usual. But this time, what kind of miracle would he bring about? How boastful! "Senior brother Pringyu, senior brother Zhou, this guy is not worth your time." Behind Zhang Kun and the others, a ferocious-looking disciple took a step forward and said in a ferocious tone, "I, Li Baqiong, will deal with him this time." "Li Baqiong? It's him. He was the one who killed an 8th-layer Xiantian realm cultivator. Can Qin Nan be his opponent?" The surrounding disciples and elders began to discuss among themselves. "Follow me into the Palace of Life and Death." The palace master of the Palace of Life and Death stood up and prepared to leave. "Wait!" Qin Nan suddenly changed his mind. Under the astonished gazes of countless people, he said indifferently, "Li Baqiong, right? I'm sorry, but I won't fight you because you're not qualified for me to fight." Boom! The entire area in front of the Hall of Life and Death instantly turned into an uproar as shock filled the faces of countless people. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao say www.aichuxs. Wasn't this Qin Nan a little too arrogant? After all, Li Baqiong had slain an 8th-layer Xiantian realm cultivator, thus his strength was not to be underestimated. Even Ling Feng would have to back off when facing Li Baqiong a month ago. "What? How dare you say that I'm not qualified?" Li Baqiong became enraged. He was aware of the fact that Qin Nan had forced Zhou Yang and the others to drop to their knees. However, he had a mystical weapon with the name Heart-Protecting Mirror, which was able to protect him from being disturbed. As such, he was not afraid of Qin Nan's evil technique. "Drop to your knees." Before he could finish, Qin Nan's left eye emitted a blue glow, as the suppression of the divine god of battle was unleashed like a surging tide. A cry of agony could be heard as Li Baqiong dropped to his knees, as if he had just experienced a great fear, causing him to tremble with a pale face. "Piss off!" Qin Nan uttered another roar. Even though the suppression of the divine god of battle was invisible, it felt more tangible than invisible. It gathered together and struck Li Baqiong's figure. Bang! Following an explosion, Li Baqiong's figure was sent flying as if he had just been struck by a huge hammer. He spat out mouthfuls of blood and fell to the ground 3 zhang away. His eyes turned white as he lost consciousness. At that instant, the crowd at the entrance of the Hall of Life and Death fell into a dead silence. The elders and disciples stared with their eyes open wide, their faces filled with astonishment. Zhang Kun, Pengyu, and Zhou Gili reacted the same way. Although they had heard about Zhou Yang dropping to his knees, they were even more astonished after witnessing Qin Nan forcing Li Baqiong to his knees and sending him flying with just 2 roars. Qin Nan, Gong Yang's heart was filled with excitement after recovering from his initial astonishment. Qin Nan was indeed Qin Nan, able to defeat a 7th-layer Xiantian realm genius with just 2 roars. Who could possibly match his strength? The leader of the Hall of Life and Death was startled for the first time, as he glanced toward Qin Nan. After discovering something, he focused his gaze onto Qin Nan's left eye and began to ponder. Qin Nan continued to hold his hands behind him as he glanced at Zhang Qian and the others and said in a calm tone, "Anyone below the martial emperor realm dares to die here?" The geniuses behind Zhang Qian fell into a dead silence. Previously, they had assumed Qin Nan to be full of himself, but after witnessing it with their own eyes, their hearts were filled with a hint of fear. Even Pring Yu and Zhou Gili could feel their mouths turning dry. Judging from Qin Nan's display of strength, his strength was equivalent to the 9th layer Xiantian realm. Even the battle intent in their hearts had completely dissipated. Peng Yu, Zhou Gili, previously you two were so full of yourself, accusing my friends of being innocent. Why are you scared now? Qin Nan burst out laughing all of a sudden. If that's the case, you two can come at me at the same time. It doesn't make any difference if I kill one of you or two of you. Qin Nan, Gong Yang and the others, who were initially excited, were stunned. The crowd clicked their tongues. Isn't this Qin Nan being too full of himself, to challenge both Peng Yu and Zhou Gili at the same time? Although they could not help but admit that Qin Nan's strength was indeed powerful, Peng Yu and Zhou Gili were both ranked in the top 10 among the inner domain disciples, with cultivations of the 8th layer Xiantian realm, 10th grade Huang ranked martial spirits, and various mystical weapons. Qin Nan might have a chance of winning against one of them, but against both of them, it was no different than courting death. Peng Yu and Zhou Gili's eyes were spitting flames of fury. This Qin Nan was too full of himself, as they let out furious laughs and said, "Fine, if you dare to challenge us, we'll have a great battle with you. Since the battle has begun, come with me, and we'll see who's stronger on the stage." The leader of the Hall of Life and Death said in a calm tone. "Let's go." Qin Nan turned around and left without giving them another glance, as if they were nothing in his eyes. "You two, you must tear him into pieces." Zhang Qian clenched his teeth. Even he was enraged after seeing Qin Nan's disdainful attitude. "We can't let him go." Peng Yu and Zhou Gili clenched their fists tightly. Everyone at the entrance of the Hall of Life and Death immediately rushed into the hall. In just a short while, the news regarding Qin Nan's battle with the two geniuses was spread to the sect, causing an uproar once again, as more disciples and elders arrived at the scene. Chapter 232. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 second/small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. In the middle of the Hall of Life and Death, there was a 30-foot-long martial altar, which was built with a type of ancient star stone. Even peak martial emperor realm experts would not be able to destroy it if they were to engage in a battle. Baidu Search AI Go Xiaosei, www.aichux. The leader of the Hall of Life and Death immediately stepped onto the martial platform and floated in the middle of it. Those who have stepped onto the martial platform, regardless of life or death, let the battle begin. Qin Nan tapped the ground with the tip of his foot and immediately stood on the martial platform. "Qin Nan, prepare to die." Peng Yu and Zhou Gili both let out a shout as their figures stepped onto the martial platform. Xiantian 8th layer qi immediately surged and covered their bodies, producing a buzzing sound. From this, one could see how powerful their qi was. "I'll only use one move." Qin Nan drew out the ancient saber Ira from his storage bag and said in a calm tone. Even though in his opinion, he could easily defeat them with the suppression of the divine god of battle, but he did not do so. He wanted a battle, which was the only way to make these people submit to him. One move? Good. Today I want to see just how arrogant you can be. Peng Yu and Zhou Gili both went completely crazy. As the top 10 geniuses of the inner domain, their talents were on par with Lung Feng's. However, not only did this Qin Nan challenge them both at the same time, He even claimed that he could defeat them with a single move. Kuan Peng absorbs water. Peng Yu let out a roar as his true energy transformed into a Kuan Peng demonic beast. He threw his head back and roared, spitting out a torrential flood. Heavenly Extermination Sword. Zhou Gili's killing intent soared to the heavens and condensed into a giant sword. At the center of the giant sword, various kinds of killing intent condensed. In that instant, the two of them unleashed their most powerful killing moves, one on the left and one on the right. When they were still dozens of meters away from Qin Nan, they locked onto him and sealed him off. Illusory Void Stone. Soul-slaying arrow. At this instant, two spiritual artifacts rose from behind the two of them at the same time. Both of them displayed their absolute power. Martial Spirit Release. Peng Yu and Zhou Gili uttered a roar, as 10 golden rays were emitted from their backs, together with 2 ferocious martial spirits, causing the surroundings to tremble. At that instant the crowd was startled. The strongest attack. The two of them are crazy to this extent. At the same time, they released their killing moves, activated their spirit tools, and released their martial spirit. I'm afraid that this consumed all of their true qi. After that, it will also cause a huge injury to the body. Both of them are completely crazy, but their combined attack is more than enough to kill an ordinary Xiantian 10th stage expert. Qin Nan will definitely die. The sound of people sucking in cold air could be heard in unison. Gong Yang and the others were startled. The battle strength of two super geniuses with 10th grade Huang-ranked martial spirits was extremely terrifying. Qin Nan, Gong Yang and the others clenched their fists tightly. Kill. Peng Yu and Zhou Gili unleashed their strongest attacks, supreme-grade mystical weapons, and their martial spirits, which transformed into 2 giant beams of light that fired in Qin Nan's direction. At that instant, a boundless aura was emitted in all directions, which felt like countless claps of thunder. However, at that instant, Qin Nan made his move. With an expressionless face, he held the ancient saber Ira in his hand and took a step forward. With a flick of his arm, a tremendous saber intent was emitted from the ancient saber Ira, which transformed into a terrifying saber river, shaking the heavens and earth. This is... Peng Yu and Zhou Gili's murderous gazes were instantly awakened, as their eyes were filled with astonishment. Their true qi, mystical weapons, martial spirits, etc. were like a tiny boat in front of the saber, which could be drowned at any time. That unstoppable power caused both of their souls to tremble. Bang! In the midst of their astonishment, the river of saber intent surged toward them and instantly devoured them. At that instant, both their strongest attacks, their top-tier mystical weapons, and their martial spirits were shattered by the river of saber intent, causing their bodies to suffer a terrifying impact. 2 cries of agony could be heard, as Peng Yu and Zhou Gili's bodies were sent flying and slammed into the ground, with their last breaths. A single slash caused the crowd to be shocked. This, gasp, this slash. The disciples and elders at the scene could feel their souls being greatly impacted, leaving them unable to utter a single word. Zhang Qian's face was filled with astonishment, and after a while, his expression changed tremendously as he uttered a scream. How is this possible? How is this possible? Qin Nan, your cultivation has reached the half-martial emperor realm. The words served as a shocking explosion that took place in the Hall of Life and Death. The half-martial emperor realm was not terrifying, but everyone knew that Qin Nan's cultivation was only the second-layer Xiantian realm a month ago. His cultivation had reached the half-martial emperor realm in just a month's time? Even a core disciple with a Xian-ranked martial spirit would not be able to do that. Half-martial emperor realm. Gong Yang and the others could feel their souls shuddering violently. They clearly knew that Qin Nan would surely create a miracle, but they had never expected him to create a miracle among miracles. breaking through 8 layers in a month's time. Meanwhile, on the platform, Peng Yu and Zhou Gili's eyes trembled as they cried out in agony. How is this possible, Qin Nan? How did you reach the half-martial emperor realm? You're only a 10th grade Huang-rank genius, there's no way you could do that, is that so? Qin Nan held the ancient saber in his hand and walked toward Peng Yu and Zhou Gili with an expressionless face. A strong murderous intent was emitted from his body. At this moment, the crowd that was in shock immediately came back to their senses. Zhang Qian's expression changed tremendously as he snapped, Qin Nan, don't you dare! They are both disciples of the June Alliance. Zhou Gili is also the son of the disciplinary hall leader. If you dare to kill him today, the disciplinary hall leader will not forgive you. Gong Yang's expression changed greatly as he yelled without hesitation, Qin Nan, even if you have to cripple them, don't harm their lives. The crowd stared with their eyes open wide. Qin Nan is going to kill Zhou Gili and Peng Yu? Is he out of his mind? Zhou Gili and Peng Yu were aware of the murderous intent emitted from Qin Nan's body, and Zhou Gili let out a scream. Qin Nan, don't kill me, kill Peng Yu instead. My father is the disciplinary hall leader. If you kill me, my father will not forgive you. Qin Nan, it's my fault. From today onward, I'll submit to you, and will not go against you, nor your friends. Zhou Gili could not care less about anything else as he was on the verge of death. Peng Yu beside him was both shocked and furious. He was terrified by the fear of death, and furious at Zhou Gili's deception. The son of the disciplinary hall leader, huh? It would be troublesome if I were to kill you. Qin Nan mumbled to himself before his expression turned cold. He swung the saber in his hand, killing Zhou Gili and Peng Yu. The entire Hall of Life and Death fell into a dead silence. Chapter 233. Genius 1 Second. Remember Love Go Divided by Xiao? Net providing you with interesting novels to read. Meanwhile, at the first residence of the Inner Domain Peak, Ouyang Jun was already aware of the series of events taking place at the Inner Domain Peak, as he let out a disdainful laugh and said, this Qin Nan was able to trick him with a simple trick, and even claimed that he could defeat anyone below the martial emperor realm? I believe that Qin Nan has already been beaten to death by Peng Yu and Zhou Gili in the Hall of Life and Death. As soon as he finished speaking, a talisman could be seen flying toward him. With a flicker, Li Hong's figure grabbed the talisman. Ouyang Jun raised his eyebrows and said, read it, since he's in such a rush. He must be. Before he could finish the word news, Li Hong's expression changed tremendously as she spoke with a trembling voice. Qin Nan. Qin Nan. Qin Nan's cultivation has reached the half-martial emperor realm. He challenged Peng Yu and Zhou Gili on his own, and defeated them with a single attack, killing them both. What? Ouyang Jun's expression changed tremendously. Half-martial emperor realm? Are you kidding me? Zhou Gili and Peng Yu were both killed? Damn it, what did that guy find at the Longhu mountain range, to be able to improve his cultivation to the half-martial emperor realm? Ouyang Jun became enraged as he uttered a series of raging roars. Quick, spread the order, let Ling Feng and Tan Jian fight him. I can't King believe that we can't even defeat a mere Qin Nan. He had tried to challenge Qin Nan a few times, but he had failed every time. By the way, tell the disciplinary hall leader about Zhou Gili's death at once. Ouyang Jun let out a sinister laugh and said, let's see how that Qin Nan is going to react this time. In the Xianling clan, due to the news regarding Qin Nan challenging the geniuses of the June Alliance, countless people were paying attention to the news regarding the Hall of Life and Death. Baidu search AI Go Xiaosei www.aichux. At that instant, a furious roar could be heard coming from the punishment hall. Qin Nan, how dare you kill my son? I'll make you pay with your blood. Boom. Following a loud explosion, the entire Hall of Punishments was shattered into pieces by a tremendous force. Among the shattered pieces, a bald, bulky man emitting a ferocious aura rose into the air and dashed toward the Hall of Life and Death. In a split second, countless members of the Xianling clan were alarmed, their faces full of shock. What? Qin Nan actually killed the son of the Punishment Hall Master? Big trouble. This time it's really big trouble. Quick, quick, let's head to the Hall of Life and Death and see how this farce is going to end. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Even the elders and inner disciples who were rarely seen on normal days hurried to the Hall of Life and Death after hearing the shocking news. Inside the Hall of Life and Death, after Qin Nan executed the slash, Ma Qian's eyes opened wide, while the crowd was dumbfounded. What was the definition of being lawless? This was being lawless. Even if he had a formidable background, he would still slay him. Qin Nan, you. Zhang Qian pointed his finger at Qin Nan. Even his finger was trembling due to his anger. Qin Nan calmly glanced at him, before he swung the saber in his hand, causing the blood on the tip of the saber to splatter onto the ground. What about me? Is there anyone from the June Alliance capable of fighting against me now? Zhang Qian's face shuddered. The geniuses behind him were stunned too. Fighting against him now? Qin Nan's cultivation was at the half-martial emperor realm. No one among the inner domain disciples could match his strength. At that instant, a series of loud explosions could be heard, as the entire Hall of Life and Death began to shake vigorously after receiving a series of heavy blows. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao say www.aichuxs. From the crowd was stunned, before Zhang Qian burst out laughing all of a sudden. Ha ha, Qin Nan, you dare to kill Zhou Gili. Now that the disciplinary hall leader is here personally, your time of death has arrived. The expressions of Gong Yang and the others became incomparably heavy. The moment Qin Nan brandished his saber, they had already expected this scene. Qin Nan's eyes narrowed. He raised his head and looked outside the palace. At that instant, the cloudy eyes of the leader of the Hall of Life and Death emitted a brilliant glow. Who dares to be so presumptuous in the Hall of Life and Death? Following the roar, it was as if the entire Hall of Life and Death had come alive, as the tightly shut door slowly opened. As soon as the door was opened, a figure emitting a terrifying aura dashed out from it and uttered a roar that shook the entire place. Qin Nan, come out and face your death. Under the crowd's gaze, the disciplinary hall leader's eyes turned bloodshot while emitting a tremendous murderous aura, which instantly locked onto Qin Nan's figure. The redness in his eyes intensified as he uttered a roar and dashed toward Qin Nan with a powerful force. Qin Nan, watch out! Gong Yang and the others let out a roar. Qin Nan raised his eyebrows. A faint blue glow could be seen burning in his left eye. The chapter is not finished yet, please turn the page. How bold! At that instant, another explosion could be heard, as the leader of the Hall of Life and Death reached out his skinny hand and slapped in the direction of the disciplinary hall leader. Bang! It was as if the surrounding space was about to collapse, as a giant pitch-black hand was formed and slapped downward. The disciplinary hall leader's face turned pale as his figure came to a stop, before he immediately lashed out a few hundred punches in a ferocious manner. Bang! 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 A series of explosions could be heard in the Hall of Life and Death, as terrifying gusts of wind swept across the entire Hall of Life and Death like giant dragons. Shit, some of the cultivators whose cultivations had only reached the first or second layer Xiantian realm uttered cries as they tried to dodge the attacks in a miserable state. Meanwhile, the experts with higher cultivations had pale faces as their hearts were pounding rapidly. Leader of the Hall of Life and Death, step aside. He killed my son, I'll make him pay with his life. The disciplinary hall leader's figure was knocked a few steps backward as he uttered a roar. I'm sorry. The leader of the Hall of Life and Death wore a calm expression as he said, "Life and death are forbidden in the Hall of Life and Death. Your son was killed here, and Qin Nan is innocent. You are not allowed to harm him here, this is the rule. Bulsh *T rule. It was as if the figure of the disciplinary hall leader was filled with a powerful force, which instantly expanded into a mini-giant, before he lashed out with his palm in the direction of the leader of the Hall of Life and Death. Don't you dare be reckless! The eyes of the leader of the Hall of Life and Death flickered with lightning, as if he was enraged. He grabbed at the air with his left hand, causing a long spear that seemed to have come from the netherworld to appear, while a boundless murderous intent filled the entire hall. You! The disciplinary hall leader's figure came to a stop, as he clearly sensed a destructive force from the spear. Since you're a great elder of the Xianling clan, I'll let you leave at once. The leader of the Hall of Life and Death wore an indifferent expression as he said, "If you're planning to kill Qin Nan, you can wait until he leaves the Hall of Life and Death. Otherwise, don't blame me for showing no mercy." Well, how nice of you to say that your spear is showing no mercy. You're willing to go against me just to protect this kid. The disciplinary hall leader burst out laughing due to his extreme anger. At that instant, he uttered a piercing roar, "All elders, all hall leaders, my beloved son was killed, and now I'm being obstructed by a scoundrel. What are you waiting for?" Chapter 234. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. As soon as the words were spoken, a piercing sound could be heard, as an old man with white eyebrows descended from the sky. His appearance caused the hearts of the crowd to skip a beat, as they could not help but blurt out, "It's the first elder of the inner disciples. He's here. Is he here to help the disciplinary hall leader?" As soon as they finished speaking, a few piercing sounds could be heard, as martial Emperor realm experts arrived one after another. The elders and disciples of the Hall of Life and Death completely lost their minds after seeing this. That's the first elder of the outer disciples. That's the third elder of the inner disciples. Isn't that the first vice leader of the Hall of Fame? And the first vice leader of the disciplinary hall? In just less than 5 breaths' time, 8 authorities of the mystic spirit sect had arrived at the place. At that instant, the elders and disciples of the Xianling clan realized that the disciplinary hall leader was out of his mind this time. It's been a while since I've seen such a grand scene. At that instant, a calm voice could be heard, as an old man wearing a luxurious robe slowly walked toward them from the outside of the Hall of Life and Death. As soon as he appeared, the 8 authorities immediately brought their fists together with respectful expressions. "Greetings, Skills Library Leader." The short words were like giant hammers continuously pounding on the hearts of the crowd. The Skills Library Leader was here in person. "Old man, you're always one step ahead of me." Following a pleasant voice, the figure of a middle-aged woman appeared before the crowd with a charming smile on her face. "Greetings, Leader of the Hall of Fame." The 8 authorities brought their fists together once again. At that instant, the crowd's mind was in a mess, as they had no idea how to describe their feelings. The 4 hall leaders and the 8 authorities, such a grand occasion was all because of a single duel. With the Hall of Life and Death as the center, there were at least a few hundred elders and a few thousand disciples within 5 miles of the Hall of Life and Death. The disciplinary hall leader had completely lost his mind. Despite the fact that he was doomed, he could not care less as he glared at the leader of the Hall of Life and Death and said, "I know that your cultivation has reached the half-martial ancestor realm. Normally, I would be extremely respectful toward you, but today you must step aside. Qin Nan must die." The eyes of the leaders of the Hall of Fame and the Skills Library glistened, as streams of battle intent were emitted from their bodies. The 8 great leaders stood behind him with surging auras in their bodies. It was as if they were ready to unleash their strongest attacks at any time. The leader of the Hall of Life and Death wore a calm expression, as if he was unaware of the situation around him, as he said in a calm tone, "The rules of the Hall of Life and Death apply here." Qin Nan did not break any of the rules. No matter what, even if the sect leader is here to break the rules of the Hall of Life and Death, I will not allow it. With a flick of his wrist, the giant spear appeared in his hand once again, as he faced the great leaders on his own. "Very well, I'm impressed by your courage." The disciplinary hall leader burst out laughing. He did not expect this guy to be so stubborn. Without hesitation, he stomped his foot on the ground and unleashed his tremendous martial emperor realm force. "We'll assist you." The leaders of the Hall of Fame and the Skills Library uttered a roar, as they executed powerful moves with their hands, forming a three-man formation with the disciplinary hall leader's figure, and flanked the leader of the Hall of Life and Death. This leader of the Hall of Life and Death was indeed a half-martial ancestor realm cultivator. While holding the giant spear in his hand, it was as if his aged body was filled with an endless amount of energy, as he continuously unleashed a series of shocking spear attacks, which forced the three hall leaders to retreat continuously. "3 hall leaders, we'll assist you." After seeing this, the 8 great leaders immediately executed their killing blows and joined the battle without hesitation. A shocking, chaotic battle took place in an instant, as countless explosions took place in the Hall of Life and Death, causing the entire hall to tremble violently. Inside the Hall of Life and Death, the faces of the elders and disciples turned pale due to the shockwaves of the battle. Some of them immediately executed their movement techniques to escape from this shocking battle, while those with higher cultivation bases were unwilling to miss this opportunity, and executed their defensive techniques in an attempt to peek into the battle. After all, it was rare to see a battle of this scale, but they were still knocked around by the shock waves, like duckweed in the middle of a great wave, and could only go with the flow. Only Qin Nan remained standing on the platform in the midst of the shocking battle, with his figure straight like a pine tree. Meanwhile, 5 miles away from the Hall of Life and Death, thousands of elders and disciples floated in mid-air or stood on the ground, watching the shocking battle in awe. 3 hall leaders and 8 great authorities fighting against the leader of the Hall of Life and Death at the same time, but it's still a draw. This leader of the Hall of Life and Death is quite impressive. I did not expect our Xianling clan to have such a great talent. Damn, what kind of charm does this Qin Nan have, to be able to attract the attention of the leader of the Hall of Life and Death? I don't believe the leader of the Hall of Life and Death is just trying to protect the rules. Sigh, I wonder how this battle will end. While the crowd was immersed in their discussions, a sudden explosion could be heard from the sky, as an old lady appeared all of a sudden. Her appearance caused the crowd to be speechless once again. The leader of the treasure vault is here too. Apart from the clan leader, the other 5 hall leaders are all here. In the Xianling clan, there were a total of 6 halls, which were the sect leader's hall, the Hall of Fame, the treasure vault, the Skills Library, the Hall of Life and Death, and the Disciplinary Hall. The leader of the sect leader's hall was personally appointed by the clan leader of the Xianling clan. Up until now, a mere duel had attracted the attention of 5 hall leaders, something that only happened once every 30 years. However, some of the inner disciples and elders were lost in their thoughts after seeing this. Would such a small duel really attract the attention of the 5 hall leaders? Leader of the Hall of Life and Death, why are you being so stubborn? This Qin Nan is too full of himself, and should have been killed long ago. The leader of the treasure vault was different from the other 2 hall leaders. She directly mentioned Qin Nan's name, asking for Qin Nan's life. Furthermore, her words were hinting at the leader of the Hall of Life and Death. The leaders of the Hall of Fame and the Skills Library exchanged glances with one another in the midst of the battle, without saying anything. The Hall of Life and Death has its own rules. Even if the sect leader is here today, my decision will not change. The leader of the Hall of Life and Death continued to swing his spear with an expressionless face. Let's fight then. The eyes of the leader of the treasure vault flickered fiercely, as her figure instantly joined the battle, coordinating with the other 3 hall leaders and the attacks of the 8 authorities, forming a terrifyingly powerful formation with precise calculations. At that instant, the stalemate of the battle took a turn for the worse, as it turned into a one-sided battle. A series of attacks landed on the leader of the Hall of Life and Death's figure. The leader of the Hall of Life and Death let out a groan, as blood flowed out from his mouth. It was true that his cultivation was powerful, but facing the attacks of the 4 hall leaders and the 8 authorities, he had no chance of surviving. In the nick of time, he immediately opened his mouth and yelled, "Qin Nan, leave at once. I'll take care of everything here." In your dreams. The leader of the treasure vault suddenly took out an object and flicked it with her finger. This object was a large net that emitted 7 colors. After it was activated and shot forward with a swoosh sound, it seemed to have a mind of its own as it emitted an astonishing and dazzling light. In an instant it enveloped the palace master of the Hall of Life and Death. No matter how the palace master of the Hall of Life and Death struggled, he was unable to break free from it. This is the 7-colored royal sealing net. Even if it's only a Sciention weapon, it can still seal a martial dominator for 3 breaths' time, and a martial ancestor for 30 breaths' time. The leader of the treasure vault snapped, "Kill Qin Nan at once." At that instant, with the disciplinary hall leader leading the way, the 4 hall leaders and the 8 authorities all arrived above the dojo with a flicker and glanced at Qin Nan. These hall leaders were acquainted with Qin Nan before, but this time they had sided with the sect leader. Thus they had no feelings for him, only a strong murderous intent. Bang! 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 The suppression from the 12 of them alone caused the dojo to vibrate vigorously, as cracks began to appear on its surface. Qin Nan die. The disciplinary hall leader's eyes emitted a reddened glow after seeing his son's murderer standing before him, as he uttered a ferocious roar and charged toward Qin Nan. In the nick of time, Qin Nan suddenly let out a cold grin. "Nice, nice, nice, the 4 hall leaders and the 8 authorities are all here to deal with me. Princess Miao Miao, Longhu ancestor beast, if not now, what are you waiting for?" At the last moment, Qin Nan let out a roar. Bang! A thunderous explosion could be heard in the sky above the Hall of Life and Death, as a giant stormy cloud had covered the area around the Hall of Life and Death. The area within 10 li was immersed in darkness. Everyone was awakened at that instant, as they raised their heads and glanced toward it. They could only see a giant dragon head poking out from the stormy cloud, whose ferocious eyes emitted a demonic glow staring down at the crowd, before it opened its bloody mouth and uttered a thunderous roar. "Are you trying to bully Qin Nan with your superior numbers?" Chapter 235. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? Sagnet, providing you with interesting novels to read. The shocking sight caused everyone to be immersed in astonishment. Love go little say, W. Chu, the disciplinary hall leader, who was attacking Qin Nan a moment ago, felt his body stiffen, as he could only feel an invisible force locking onto his figure from the sky. It was as if he would be crushed into pieces by the invisible force if he were to take another step forward. This is... The disciplinary hall leader and the other hall leaders immediately raised their heads and witnessed a shocking sight. A dragon head? That's a dragon head? Could it be that there's a giant dragon hiding in the sky? Among the beasts, dragons were considered the rulers. Even the most ordinary serpent dragon possessed a terrifying strength. Humph! The Longhu ancestor beast harumphed coldly, as his enormous tiger body slowly appeared in the sky. The hall leaders, the authorities, the elders, and the disciples of the Hall of Life and Death were dumbfounded. A dragon head with a tiger body? What kind of existence is this? A dragon head with a tiger body, a dragon head with a tiger body. Could this guy be the Longhu ancestor beast of the Longhu mountain range? The leader of the treasure vault mumbled to herself, before her face turned pale. A hint of astonishment appeared on her face. In an instant, the originally lively hall of life and death, within a 10-mile radius, fell into a deathly silence. The Longhu ancestor beast. Being called a ancestor beast, which meant that the terrifying beast in the sky was a martial ancestor realm presence. What a grand occasion! Not bad, well done. At that instant, a mocking voice could be heard, as the petite figure of Princess Meow Meow appeared above the Longhu ancestor beast, who glanced at the crowd with a pair of glittering eyes. Princess Meow Meow. The hall leaders, the elders, and the disciples all took a deep breath at the same time. Even their souls were trembling. Princess Meow Meow was extremely famous. Everyone knew who she was. Most importantly, they were not idiot. When Princess Meow Meow and the Longhu ancestor beast appeared together, they immediately realized a shocking fact. Apart from the Supreme Elder, 2 terrifying martial ancestor realm experts were standing behind Qin Nan. This, Gong Yang and the others were utterly dumbfounded. It was reasonable for Princess Meow Meow to appear, but when did this Longhu ancestor beast appear? All of a sudden, they recalled the young man with a bump on his forehead at the 3rd residence. This Longhu ancestor beast seemed to have the same voice as that young man? At this moment, on the martial stage, Qin Nan glanced at the 4 hall leaders and the 8 authorities, and said in an indifferent tone, "Excuse me. Now, do you still want to make a move against me?" The hall leader of the Hall of Fame, the Skills Library, the Treasure Vault, and the 8 authorities immediately collected their thoughts, as their faces stiffened. Before they arrived, they had guessed that Princess Meow Meow would appear, but they did not expect the Longhu ancestor beast to appear behind Qin Nan. How could they fight now? Although the hall leaders and the 8 authorities appeared to be quite powerful, they could not even survive a single attack from these 2 authorities. The disciplinary hall leader's face reddened. Although he knew that he was no match against the 2 martial ancestor realm experts, he would not let Qin Nan go so easily, as he could not help but utter a roar. "Princess Meow Meow, Longhu ancestor beast, Qin Nan is too bold to kill my son. I will avenge my son's death. A life for a life, that's the right thing to do. This has nothing to do with you. Even if you are martial ancestor realm experts, if you interfere, when our sect leader achieves the martial dominator realm." Before he could finish the rest of his sentence, following a shush, the disciplinary hall leader could only feel a huge object appearing in front of him. Before he could react, a tiger claw pierced through the air and struck his left cheek. The terrifying force caused him to let out a cry of agony as his figure was flung 100 feet away, causing the buildings behind him to be destroyed. With a single slap, the disciplinary hall leader was sent flying. Gasp! The other 3 hall leaders and the 8 authorities took a deep breath, as they glanced at the Longhu ancestor beast with eyes filled with terror. The Longhu ancestor beast burst out laughing and said, "Trying to avenge your son? The right thing to do? Why didn't you think of Qin Nan's retaliation when you were dealing with Qin Nan? Do you really think you can bully Qin Nan as you wish? I'm here to tell you seriously." The Longhu ancestor beast raised his tone in an impassioned manner. Be it the hall leaders, elders, inner disciples, or outer disciples, a total of a few thousand people glanced toward him. The Longhu ancestor beast was aware of the crowd's gazes, as he raised his head and said, "Only I am allowed to bully Qin Nan." But, as soon as he finished speaking, a slap landed on his head, as Princess Meow Meow glared at him furiously. "You son of a bitch, what nonsense are you talking about?" Princess, you're right. The Longhu ancestor beast wore a wronged expression as he said, "Even if you're going to do it, you shouldn't do it in front of so many people. Can't you leave me some face?" Princess Meow Meow raised her head in satisfaction. Let's get down to business. After hearing the words, the crowd was startled, especially the 3 hall leaders and the 8 authorities, whose faces turned extremely pale. Could it be that these 2 martial ancestor realm experts are planning to massacre the crowd? Unexpectedly, as soon as the thought appeared in their minds, Princess Meow Meow stood on top of the dragon's head and glanced at the crowd with a serious expression, before saying in a serious tone, "Everyone here, take out all your belongings, not a single one. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page, can't stay. If anyone dares to hide anything, don't blame the princess for punishing you." The crowd could only feel their hearts being stabbed with a knife. After all this time, you're only here to rob us? That's enough, stop fooling around. At that instant, Qin Nan, who was standing on the platform, suddenly spoke. A hint of dissatisfaction could be seen on Princess Meow Meow's face. This little asshole, instead of being a servant, he dares to give me orders now. She then let out a harumph and gave the Longhu ancestor beast another slap, before standing behind Qin Nan while the latter wore a wronged expression. The atmosphere of the place instantly froze, as everyone's gaze was focused onto Qin Nan's figure. This was because they realized that the main character of the scene was Qin Nan, be it the 2 martial ancestor realm experts or the hall leaders. Qin Nan, the disciplinary hall leader who was sent flying by the Longhu ancestor beast, stood up at that instant, his body covered in blood, and uttered a roar. The Longhu ancestor beast let out a harumph in dissatisfaction, causing the disciplinary hall leader's figure to shudder violently and almost fall to the ground. "Disciplinary hall leader, are you trying to kill me?" Qin Nan glanced at him and asked in a calm tone. "That's right, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to tear you into pieces and pull out each of your bones, so that you'll suffer a fate worse than death." The disciplinary hall leader's heart skipped a beat as he recalled Zhou Gili's death, causing his body to tremble violently as he spoke while clenching his teeth. Qin Nan let out a hollow laugh, and said in a cold tone under the crowd's gaze, "Your son came to my residence and robbed me for no reason, and even used his authority to accuse my friends of betraying the sect. He challenged the Hall of Life and Death to a duel. Either he dies or I die. I killed him, which is equivalent to killing my enemy, and also killing injustice. Everything follows the rules, how can I be guilty? Eliminating the injustice." It was as if the words possessed a magical power, causing the hearts of the crowd to tremble. The disciplinary hall leader's breathing halted slightly as he became enraged, as if he had lost his mind. "So what? Aren't the people around you mere ants? So what if you've punished them? It's the law of the jungle. Besides, the punishment has yet to be carried out, but it's a fact that you've killed him. Besides, it's only a small dispute, yet you're so vicious. Shut up." Qin Nan suddenly uttered a roar, as he had no intention of wasting his time with the disciplinary hall leader. Since he couldn't reason with him, he could only rely on the saber in his hand. Qin Nan glanced at the crowd. "It's time for the farce to come to an end. We'll settle this according to the rules of the Xianling clan. Anyone below the martial emperor realm is allowed to have a fair duel with me on this ring of life and death. As for those above the martial emperor realm, the 2 behind me are more than happy to oblige at any time." Qin Nan held his saber horizontally. "Does anyone dare to accept my challenge?" His battle intent skyrocketed. Chapter 236. A Genius Remembering Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The thousands of elders and disciples within 10 miles of the Hall of Life and Death fell silent. The various hall masters also fell into a dead silence at this moment. With the 2 martial ancestor realm experts behind Qin Nan, they would not stand a chance against him even if they were to attack him together. As for Qin Nan himself, His cultivation had reached the half-martial emperor realm, and he possessed a 10th-grade Huang-ranked martial spirit. Who in the entire Xianling clan would dare to fight against him? Gong Yang and the others could feel their blood boiling after seeing this. A while ago, when the news of the clan leader leveling up to the martial dominator realm was made public, the Great Elders faction had been bullied by many people. Now that Qin Nan had returned with his peerless talent, even a faction as powerful as the June Alliance would be suppressed by him. I'm afraid the battle between the two factions has come to an end. No one would dare to fight against Qin Nan. We can only wait and see if the clan leader of the Xianling clan has successfully leveled up to the martial dominator realm. The same thought appeared in the minds of many elders. However, at that instant, a hollow laugh could be heard all of a sudden. A loser dares to challenge the June Alliance. Do you really think the June Alliance is weak? Following the cold laugh, thousands of gazes from all directions, regardless of whether they were disciples, elders, hall leaders, etc., immediately turned toward the direction of the voice. A young man wearing a black robe could be seen approaching the scene with a cold expression. This person was none other than Ling Feng. The initially silent Hall of Life and Death was instantly immersed in a discussion. Ling Feng, it's him, he's here. What's the point of him being here? Now that Qin Nan's cultivation has reached the half-martial emperor realm, there's no way he could stand a chance against him. This Ling Feng's aura has also reached the 10th layer Xiantian realm, which is only a step away from reaching the half-martial emperor realm. His strength should not be underestimated, right? The eyes of the elders who were already on the clan leader's side flickered. Qin Nan did not expect Ling Feng to appear at this moment. He glimpsed at Ling Feng and immediately inspected his cultivation, before saying in a calm tone, "Ling Feng, right? You are no match for me." The corners of Ling Feng's mouth twitched. Even though he felt very indignant, he couldn't refute this statement. What if I'm included? At that moment, a calm voice could be heard. A white-robed young man with a long sword on his back flashed over. His face was filled with arrogance, as if he didn't place anything in the world in his eyes. As soon as he appeared, the eyes of the sect leader's faction immediately exploded with astonishment. Tan Jian. Tan Jian is here. Haha, after Ouyang Jun becomes a martial king, he'll be number one in our inner courtyard. TSK. His cultivation has reached the half-martial emperor realm, and his 10th grade Huang-ranked martial spirit is on par with Qin Nan. At this moment, the gazes of the four hall leaders gathered together, with a hint of anticipation in their eyes. They were hoping that Tan Jian would show up and slay Qin Nan at the Hall of Life and Death. Qin Nan's expression did not change. He still said indifferently, "Tan Jian, right? You're no match for me. There's no need for you to get yourself involved in this mess." After hearing the words, many of the elders were startled. Isn't this Qin Nan a bit too full of himself? Is that so? Since you're challenging the June Alliance, it's my responsibility to fight you. Tan Jian's expression turned slightly dark, as he let out a hollow laugh and said, "Besides, do you think the two of us are still not enough? You've overestimated yourself. Then, the two of us will challenge you to a battle to the death in the Hall of Life and Death." Shameless. Before the crowd had the time to react, Gong Yang and the others all stood up and loudly cursed at him. If Ling Feng and Tan Jian were to team up, they could even face a first-layer martial emperor realm expert. And now they are challenging Qin Nan at the same time? The elders of the sect leader's faction remained silent, as if they agreed to the duel. "You two are challenging me at the same time?" After hearing this, Qin Nan's left eye and the divine battle spirit in his body shuddered violently, as a strong battle intent burst out from his body. Tan Jian was ranked first among the inner domain disciples, while Ling Feng was ranked second among the inner domain disciples. If Qin Nan were to defeat them both, he would be able to claim the top spot. Every good man had a dream in his heart. What they wanted was to be number one, and what they wanted was to be number one. Qin Nan, Gong Yang and the others uttered a yell, as if they were aware of something. However, before they could finish, Qin Nan burst out laughing on the platform. Very well, first among the inner domain disciples, and a 10th layer Xiantian realm expert. Only the two of you together are worthy enough to challenge me. The crowd was stunned. They did not expect Qin Nan to accept the challenge. Ling Feng and Tan Jian exchanged glances with one another, as their eyes flickered with joy. As expected of Qin Nan was as impulsive as usual. Following this, Tan Jian harumphed and said, "Now that you have two martial ancestor realm experts supporting you, if we were to have a duel of life and death, with the interference of the two experts, we would not be able to kill you. How are you going to guarantee a fair duel?" Many of the elders and the 4 hall leaders nodded their heads, as their gazes toward Tan Jian were filled with a hint of admiration. A fair duel was the only way to start a duel. Otherwise, it would be meaningless. Don't you worry. Before Qin Nan could reply, an unexpected person stepped forward, who turned out to be the leader of the Hall of Life and Death. He broke free from the restraints, as if he was not affected by the previous situation. No matter who is here, the rules of the Hall of Life and Death are the rules. Everyone was astounded. They initially thought the leader of the Hall of Life and Death was on Qin Nan's side, but it turned out that he was only following his own nature, and following the rules of the Hall of Life and Death. "Brothers, don't you worry, I won't interfere." The Longhu ancestor beast rolled his eyes. If you two were to kill him, I'll accept you two as my core disciples." Princess Miao Miao blinked her eyes. Everyone was left speechless. Qin Nan let out a sudden laugh and said, "I hereby swear to the heavens that the duel between us will be fair. I will not ask for help, and no one will help me. Otherwise, I shall be struck by lightning and fall into hell forever." The crowd was astounded by Qin Nan's courage, as they did not expect Qin Nan to swear to the heavens and earth without hesitation. However, little did they know that Qin Nan had already sworn in the name of the divine battle spirit that he would eliminate anyone who dared to offend him. Sure. Tan Jian and Ling Feng's eyes flickered after seeing this, as their figures landed on the dojo with a flicker. The battle between the geniuses of the inner domain disciples had officially begun. Chapter 237. A Genius Remembers Love in a Second Divided by Shao? Shuanet, providing you with interesting novels to read. Humph, this Qin Nan is so daring. The eyes of the 3 hall leaders, the authorities, and the elders flickered as a cold grin appeared on their faces. Baidu search AI Go female sign Shao say www.aichuxs. Come in their eyes, Qin Nan's action was extremely childish, as if he was digging his own grave. Despite having the support of 2 martial ancestor realm experts, he still dared to take the risk and swear an oath to challenge 2 geniuses. Did Qin Nan really think he could defeat Tan Jian and Ling Feng? At that instant, the disciplinary hall leader's hair was disheveled, and his eyes were bloodshot as he uttered a roar. "Tan Jian, Ling Feng, if you are able to kill Qin Nan today, no, if you are able to cripple him, I will be at your disposal for the next 10 years. On the dojo, Tan Jian and Ling Feng's figures shuddered after hearing this, as their eyes flickered with excitement. They were here because of Ouyang Jun's order, but when they saw the Longhu Dominator Beast and Princess Miao Miao, they immediately backed off. Regardless of whether the clan leader had ranked up to the martial dominator realm or not, at least for now, no one in the Xianling clan would stand a chance against 2 martial ancestor realm experts. However, they could not disobey Ouyang Jun's order, thus they decided to team up and challenge Qin Nan to a duel. If Qin Nan were to reject the challenge, they would back off on their own. If Qin Nan were to accept the challenge, with their cultivations, they could easily deal with Qin Nan. "We can't kill him now. Later, we'll cripple one of his arms and one of his legs." Not only would we be able to fulfill Ouyang Jun's order, we would also be able to command the disciplinary hall leader for the next 10 years, and rob Qin Nan of his wealth. Tan Jian and Ling Feng exchanged glances with one another and reached a consensus through some kind of secret technique. The duel begins. The leader of the Hall of Life and Death uttered an expressionless roar. Kill! Tan Jian and Ling Feng were indeed the first and second-ranked super geniuses of the inner domain. After hearing the words of the leader of the Hall of Life and Death, their figures sprang forward like arrows being fired, aiming at Qin Nan from both sides. Good one! Qin Nan's battle intent blazed as he let out a loud laugh. He did not use any martial skill. He simply took a step forward and threw out countless punches. Boom! 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 A series of explosions rang out. A shocking sight took place. It was as if Qin Nan's flesh had transformed into a terrifying beast, which swept across the place and landed a series of powerful punches onto Ling Feng and Tan Jian's figures, causing the two geniuses to be knocked back continuously. The expressions of the four hall leaders and the authorities changed slightly. This guy has such a powerful body. Hiss, he fought against two heaven's favorites with his physique alone. Just how strong is his physique? Could it be that he has learned some kind of secret technique? Impossible. I clearly remember that even Qin Nan's flesh was not this powerful a month ago. Could it be because of the treasure he acquired? Following the discussions, the crowd's gaze toward Qin Nan turned fiery. In just a month's time, his cultivation had improved by 8 layers, and he had acquired a fortune worth over 10 million martial emperor pills. Even his flesh was incredibly powerful now. How terrifying was the treasure Qin Nan acquired. Many finally understood why the people of the June Alliance were willing to pay such a huge price to deal with Qin Nan. If it weren't for the presence of the Longhu ancestor beast and Princess Miao Miao, they would be tempted to deal with Qin Nan. Emptiness fist. Qin Nan uttered a roar as he lashed out a punch. A strong gust of wind was emitted from the tip of his fist, which struck Ling Feng and Tan Jian's figures, knocking them backward. Damn it! Ling Feng's face turned incredibly unpleasant as he yelled, "4 square extreme saber." With a flick of his wrist, Ling Feng took out an ancient saber from his storage bag. The ancient saber did not have a sharp edge, but it was emitting an icy aura. It was a supreme-grade mystical weapon with extraordinary strength. As a saber artist, Ling Feng had been practicing for many years, thus his saber intent had reached the minor success stage of the arcane realm. With the 4 square extreme saber in his hand, he immediately charged forward while emitting a rumbling saber intent, which encapsulated Qin Nan's figure like a giant cage. Your saber intent is nowhere close to mine. Qin Nan's eyes flickered with lightning as the ancient saber Ira was fired into the sky. With a slash, the saber intent of the greater success stage of the arcane realm sprang forward like a dragon. Shit! Ling Feng's expression changed tremendously. He had not expected Qin Nan's saber intent to reach such a terrifying level. He immediately executed a movement technique, summoning multiple clones to disrupt his opponent's movements, which allowed him to dodge the terrifying saber intent at a close call. A drop of cold sweat rolled down from Ling Feng's face. Qin Nan, you are indeed impressive. However, you are not the only one who has mastered the greater success stage of the arcane realm. A loud roar could be heard all of a sudden, which turned out to be Tan Jian, who had been observing the situation from the side. Now that the time had arrived, his figure immediately dashed forward while the giant longsword on his back emitted a powerful sword intent, which combined with the crimson glow of the top-tier mystical weapon longsword into a crimson glow before slashing downward. It felt like a sudden clap of thunder could be heard from all directions. 4 square extreme saber, 4 square illusionary strike. Ling Feng was overjoyed after seeing this, who executed a secret saber technique, summoning 4 illusionary clones with ancient sabers in their hands, who pounced forward together with Tan Jian. At that instant, the sky and the ground were being attacked from all directions. Nice! Qin Nan could feel a sense of pressure rising in his heart, which caused his blood to begin to boil. It felt like the blood in his veins was being awakened at this instant. Suppression of the divine god of battle. Qin Nan's figure remained still, but his left eye emitted a blue glow, as a tremendous suppression burst out from it like a surging tide. Bang! Regardless of whether it was Tan Jian's sharp sword strike or Lung Feng's secret skill of the saber Dao, when this pressure surged over, they were all suppressed in midair, unable to move. Crap! Tan Jian and Ling Feng were startled, as they could only feel an enormous mountain crushing down onto their bodies, causing them to be unable to move, causing their hearts to be filled with endless terror. Although it was only a stream of the suppression of the divine god of battle, it was no weaker than a ferocious beast to them. The surrounding hall leaders, authorities, and elders were astounded. What kind of eye technique is that? Look, his left eye has turned blue. Gasp! This Qin Nan is too good at hiding his strength to have such a terrifying eye technique. This is bad. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.